That's right back, Charlie. Definitely.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
There's always just that active red flag defenders. I think it's like. There's always just that active red flag defenders. I think it's like. There's always just that active red flag defenders. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
People deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in each and every time. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. I hope you're doing well and safe. One love to you lot, whether you're locked in on YouTube, smash the like button, subscribe, and all of that good things. Twitch gang, appreciative to you lot as well. Make sure you're cross-following and all of that good stuff. Shameless promotion, people, but it's a big week of football. Appreciative to everyone that was here for my Crystal Palace Man United watch along, where we saw a cracker from Elise in the last minute. Today, we're watching Manchester City against Spurs. Obviously, on Saturday, we're watching Liverpool-Chelsea. Then it's the big one on Sunday. It's Arsenal, Mikel Arteta's super team versus Ten Hag's tricky Reds. So make sure you've turned on your notifications and all of them things. They're all out now for you lot to set your reminders. Smash the like button. Please offer your opinions. I'm sure you could see the title of this vid. As we've woken up overnight, it looks like Leandro Trossard will be a gooner. Again, until people are holding shirts, until people are taking pictures with Mikel Arteta and Edu, I don't quite think Trossard respectfully is in as high regard as the Mudriks and Rafinhas and all of these guys, but it's not over until the fat lady sings. But I'm pretty sure you saw a video that came out by myself earlier today. I'm pretty sure you lot have seen Arsenal allegedly are moving closer to signing Leandro Trossard, people. Before we get into all of that and check the news and all of that good stuff, because there is some other transfer news, again, thank you very much for your support. I hope you lot have had a blessed week. I hope the start to 2023 has been good. And also, I hope you and your loved ones are all in good health. And I'm very appreciative of the platform we've built here and all these things. You playing FM today? Nah, man, we played yesterday, my guy. We played for 2.5 hours. We're back again tomorrow at 4:30, man. But Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays is an FM business. I'm letting my my YouTube ones down because I really should be uploading the videos onto YouTube. That was actually a goal of 2023 of mine. But it is what it is, man. It's times like this where stopgap purchases have their use, not when we're in a tight top 4 race, but when you're top of the league and need to get over the line. I mean, I'm with you. I think Trossard, you know, with it, not in a snooty way, but when your guys are calling Mudrik Ukrainian, Neymar, and all of this jazz, it's very difficult. It's like, Trossard, it's cool, innit? It's a bit of a snooty name brand thing. But why I'm cool with Trossard is he's a bit left field. You know, obviously Arsenal are doing this youngster thing, you know, late teens, early 20s, mid 20s at a push. We've got the Parteys, the El Nenes, the Xhakas. They're playing their own little role and helping us. Trossard is 28. I think it's got numerous positives. I'm not going to sit here and say after we've been linked with Rafinha, Moussa Diaby, I'm not saying he's not better than any of these guys and all these things. The minute he puts on this shirt, he's the best Belgium in the league. Same way El Nene is the best Egyptian. Smash the like button, people. But it's I don't want to call man a stopgap, because I think when in football fans, when players get to 28, 29, 30, everyone's like, oh, they can't do it. And I think even in the last 18 months, you've seen, I'm not comparing him to him, but you've seen Modric, Giroud, Zlatan, Lionel Messi, obviously an exception, Cristiano Ronaldo, historically, Joaquim, who was at Betis, and all of these guys, you're seeing with the advances of football, players have never been in best shape to play Toni Kroos, to play Thiago Silva for Chelsea, to play on the wrong side of 30. So I think when people see 28, they move like the minute you turn 30, you're dead. Then obviously at Arsenal, there was a time during the Emirates period where once you kind of turn these ages, you know you were going to clip you in it, or if you're going to be on a 2-year, 1-year deal. So I think at 28, he's still got a number of years in him. I think he's obviously left field. He provides experience. I mean, the guy can even play in the wing back. Don't want to see him there, but he can even play as a wing back, can play as a 10, can play on the left, can play on the right. Obviously, people, you know, he'd probably be a rotation option. The way he's at, his sort of mentality, I don't think he's going to want to sit on the bench. So it puts kind of pressure with Saka, with Martinelli, with Smith Rowe, because end of the day, it's another body. Only certain players can play. Obviously, on the bench, whether Trossard starts or Eddie, Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe, whoever doesn't start, that means indirectly we have a stronger bench. Because really and truly, in terms of match winners, if it's not Fabio Vieira, the bench is a bit meaty. We look better in terms of seeing out games, drawing Fatini, Tomiyasu, El Nene, who's injured at the moment. Hopefully, we bring a centre mid in when fit, etc. So if you could get Reece Nelson fit, you've got Trossard. By God's grace, you know, Eddie Nketiah keeps doing the business. Him and Jesus fight it out. One of them's got to be on the bench. We've got Smith Rowe back. We've got a stronger squad. I always relate to the draw at Newcastle. I'll take a point against Newcastle, but I think that was a game you're kind of looking at other people getting brought in. Allegedly, he was going Spurs. So same way Chelsea robbed us of our targets, we've got something shameless. So Premier League experience, Premier League proven, very intelligent, very good technically, a big game player as well, like shown at Anfield and against us. That's one less player that we've got to watch out from. Obviously, we've got a decent relationship with Brighton. It makes a lot of sense in it. It's a stopgap. Clearly, you know, where Mudryk, João Felix, Rafinha potentially, Ferran Torres, all of these guys, maybe we've exhausted these options and it hasn't worked. Maybe we still bring in a winger from now to the summer. Maybe, you know, this was just, we've gone through all our targets. This is the only thing we can do. As we know, January's a reactive market. João Felix, who he was linked with, it weren't happening for him at Atletico. He wanted to leave. Mudryk made it clear from the winter he wanted to leave. Obviously, Trossard, his contract is running down, contracted until the end of the season with an option of another year. Him and De Zerbi, which we're going to get into, are not seeing eye to eye sort of thing. So it's a reactive market, and we're reacting because we didn't bring in a wing or anything else in the summer. So I do think it's a good little find. And if you could obviously sign players that are the stars of tomorrow and pick up 1-2 experienced players suddenly, bit like Liverpool historically, you wake up and you've got a stronger sort of squad, really. It all depends on the length of contract, the wages. I remember going back to if we go back to when we was first linked with him, you know, him and his agent said he doesn't want to sit on the bench. Does not want to sit on the bench. Again, I probably won't find the article, but from I hear that, bro, it doesn't. I want him to have that mentality. Forget Martinelli, forget Saka. If you don't believe you could start here, a bit like Eddie, we all know Jesus is better than him, but in a healthy way, Eddie Nketiah is not here to play games. As much as we've got a family unit, there's all togetherness, and you need that. You've got to remember there's an element of we're not in football, or you're not in football to make friends. You're here to win games and play games. So it's me or you. Obviously, it doesn't mean you have to fight each other, but Trossard's gonna come with that sort of mentality. I'm actually trying to find the article, people. Again, if we was to scan quickly, I think this is kind of paraphrased the phrases I'm looking for, people. But this was when he was linked with Chelsea back in September. On a possible move to Graham Potter at Chelsea, Trossard said, if the opportunity arises, I want to go, but I want to play and not sit on the bench. Now, him being linked with Spurs, with Arsenal, with Chelsea at the time, actually Liverpool, most fans, including myself, think you're probably going to hold bench. But there's a lot of football. We've got Europa League, we've got FA Cup, we've got Premier League. By God's grace, if we do something this year, minimum the Europa League, we're all dreaming of bringing home the big one, and we're in the Champions League. We need players that we can rely on. We need an element of consistency. As you know, when you're doing this youngster thing, the catch-22 is, while Saka, Martinelli, Eddie, the consistency levels and across all the picture going up, sometimes young players are going to play rubbish in it, or they're not going to quite have a game. At 28, there's a level of consistency you can somewhat come to expect, really and truly. And then obviously keep your opinions coming, people. It gives us depth. Again, there's no real need for the tactics board. I was just going to do this to humor myself. But if we was to say, first thing, Jesus, just slap Jesus there, smash the like button, people. You know, let's put Saka there. Let's put Martinelli there. And obviously players can play everywhere, but just to kind of look at our depth, people, word to the Haaland documentary, or the All or Nothing better yet, where we saw everything. What you've got, Mr. Odegaard. Again, this might not make sense, but it will become clear in a sec. If we just look at our depth, you know, Smith Rowe can play on the left as well, but let's just say Smith Rowe just in the 10 role. Obviously, in fact, to make it a bit more drippier, let's go with him there. We all know he can play in the 10. Let's slap Fabio here as well. Forcing it, I'd rather Nelson play off the left, but you slap Nelson's name there. Obviously, let's get Eddie in here as well. You slap Eddie up front. Who else am I missing? Let's just say Trossard off the left, even though he could play off orders, but just to make it a bit more drippy on the left-hand side, let's slap Trossard there. I mean, you could indirectly, again, he's not at the club at the moment. Well, he's gone on a temporary basis, but let's put asterisk next to Balogun. No order, people, but you start looking at the depth. It starts looking a bit better, really, because on the left, again, a lot of these players are interchangeable. Smith Rowe can actually play on the right. Nelson can play as a 10 and on the left. Saka can play on the left. Martinelli can play all across the front three. Obviously, Odegaard can play a number of roles. You can force him out wide. Odegaard, you can flirt with things, but you look at it, we're getting some decent depth. Again, asterisk next to Balogun's name because he's not at the club, and we might bring in a striker, which some of fans, including myself, would look at. I just wish it was, midfield. Our midfield, I'm going off topic, people, and let's kind of ignore, smash the like button. Let's kind of ignore midfield for a sec, people, as well, like central midfield options. But in terms of depth, we're a bit meaty there. Obviously, you've technically got Zinchenko who could play there as well. And obviously Fabio Vieira, even though they play in other roles. You've obviously got El Nene as well. And then I'd also, being a bit harsh, as much as I like Lokonga, I'd also put an asterisk next to him, people, because I don't know if you're going to cut the mustard. I hope you can do it, but I don't know. Now, obviously, we need more depth in centre mid. As I said, Zinchenko, Fabio Vieira, Smith Rowe, all of them can play in a pivot in it or learn to play. Smith Rowe and Odegaard can. I think the long term for Xhaka is Odegaard in that role personally. Fabio Vieira can do bits and pieces, and other players can as well. Midfield looks a bit meaty because if we're honest with ourselves, and I haven't spelt Zinchenko's name correctly there, if you just remove Zinchenko for a second, assume he's exclusively going to play left wing, these are your only 4 midfield options this season. And if I'm a bit harsh to you lot, respectfully to Lokonga, sorry, if we're just focusing on 3 points and maintaining where we are in the league and trying to have a season to remember, I don't know what I'm going to get from Lokonga. I know what Xhaka and Partey are going to give me. I know El Nene isn't as good as these two, but, if we remove Xhaka, him and Partey have a good partnership, like when we last won at Old Trafford. Xhaka and El Nene, if you remove Partey, they've got a good partnership. El Nene is the third in command with me because with these three, there's a certain level of consistency. If anything happens to these three, then I would personally, like against Wolves, Fabio Vieira went there. I'm flirting between Zinchenko, Fabio Vieira, Martin Odegaard, Smith Rowe. Hopefully someone else comes in before Lokonga. Like I said, I back Lokonga. I hope with what's left of the season, you can lay down a marker. Because if he did, do certain things at this club right now, I and a lot of you might be looking at centre mid a bit differently. But if we remove that, and actually Zinchenko can play as a 10 as well, which Arteta described him as before. But excluding all of this, people, not to, ignore everybody in our half of the pitch or this half of the pitch, we start getting a bit more sexier depth. Again, Balogun, slightly, he's there as well, but irrelevant for a sec. Guys that are at the club right now, as I said, players are interchangeable, but there's some depth there, really. And a byproduct of, obviously, only 4 players can start in the front 4 positions, in it. There can only be one of Eddie Nketiah, Martinelli, Saka, and Odegaard, for example, or Jesus, or whatever, in it, people. So we're getting a bunch of options. There's 38 Premier League games. There's 38 different 90-minute storylines. As you've seen, different players have been the heroes and the protagonists. You look at Leeds away. Wow, obviously neither player scored, but if I can remember, but Ramsdale and Gabriel made the difference. Against Spurs, it was more of a collective, etc., etc. So we need depth, especially if we're going to be this club that this season might be an anomaly per se, because no one expected this in August. If we get to that scenario now where this becomes the minimum of what we're doing as a football club, people, we need depth in it. We need depth. So we start getting sexier options, really. And as I said, Trossard, a byproduct is obviously, let's just assume that the current front 3 are going to play in it. So, front 4. So let's just assume you lot are playing. These are the options on the bench, innit? Obviously, there can only be a certain amount of attacking players, and you need to even this out with some defensive players, or let's just slap them off the pitch because it might look a bit easier. Whether you believe in these players or not, we've got a stronger bench, really, and you can make 5 subs. As I said, you'd probably need to, El Nene's there as well, probably a fullback, etc. You've got better depth. So that would be the main thing for me, people. Big up to you lot tuned in. What are you lot saying as well? It is an interactive platform. Make sure you're getting all your comments in, people. And also make sure you join me for Man City Spurs later. That will be from 7:50, 10 minutes until kickoff UK time. Arsenal being proactive in the market is what I like to see. Not a signing that will see the pulses going, but a solid signing, in my opinion. Solid Premiership proven player. He's not sexy. He's not a sexy sign. It's not a gassers, but All that matters is that they do the right thing. Sometimes you need to make these shrewd additions. If we sign him, we get a Premier League proven forward. I hear that. But playing devil's advocate, where's transfer mark? Did I remove it? One sec. You know, I can't lie. I did think Trossard, obviously he's playing out wide and that, but I did think his numbers would be a bit better than this. I'm not going to lie to you. But again, you know, I want him to come and be a starter and all of those sort of things. I don't want him to come and warm bench people, but I did think his numbers would be a bit more sexier than this, if I'm honest with you. Obviously, that is sexy. Them 7 goals would help us. You marry that with Odegaard 7, Jesus is 5, injured, Saka, whatever he's got, Martinelli, what he's got. It's sharing the workload. And obviously, it's a squad game. Nobody wants to be on the bench. But you look at Smith Rowe last season, you know, our number 10 was one of the first names on the team sheet. But one thing I liked about Smith Rowe, a lot of the time he came off the bench and affected the game. We don't really have that as a football club, you know. This season, again, off the top of my head, I remember he didn't score in the game. Eddie Nketiah against Fulham, he came off the bench and he really kind of changed it. And there's probably some other examples, people. You know, Trossard's got 7 goals and 3 assists in 16 appearances at this moment in time. You know, he's played 121 times for Brighton, 25 goals, 14 assists. I mean, he hasn't scored in a cup game. That's a bit mad because, you know, the same record for his goals and assists, 25 goals, 14 assists, rings true in the Premier League, 116 appearances. So, yeah, man, marrying to go with what he's got at Genk and things like that. He's an international footballer. There's a wealth of experience that fellow players could learn from him as well. You know, he's a very adaptable player. And I'm just happy that, because I remember Brighton away last year where he savaged us. There's a lot to like about Trossard still. There's a lot to like, people. Get it over the line until it's signed, a madness. I'm happy with this. He can hit the ground running, can play in all our comps and has 7 goals in 16. Exactly. Bergkamp signed for Arsenal at 27. He was an invincible star at 35. But that's the thing. People don't look at how the players play and how they maintain, how they look after themselves. People just have one rule for everybody. I mean, Trossard, I'm with Arteta and things. Trossard and Rice, I can't lie, Jan looks better than I thought. You're not getting Declan Rice now, man. Trossard is no Mudryk, but he is Premier League proven. He can improve playing in Arsenal's team. Exactly. He's cheap, so Arteta can get another player and Trossard for 88 mil. I don't know about that. We can get Trossard and Partey cover. I hope we do address centre mid, and he does score against big teams as well. I mean, it's not an exciting signing per se, but it's one that I'm encouraged by. It's a shrewd addition. It's not a sexy signing, but it's one I can get behind. We could do a lot worse, really and truly. We have done a lot worse. Edu letting Danilo go to Forest for 18 million is a crime. I don't know, man. I wish Danilo all the best, but at the same time, you know, there's got to be a reason, whether that's because we're focusing on the wide areas. Maybe we've been following Danilo and we're not necessarily convinced. Maybe we said, you know what, we're not going to go for you in January now. We're going to do you in the summer because it does look a bit like that. You know, Telemans, it's like we'll get you on the free in the summer or not. Danilo, I don't know. We just have to see. You know, if he plays like Bruno Guimaraes, we're going to look at Edu a bit funny and say, yo, you're trying to swap money and Guendouzi for Guimaraes. You should have just got that one done. Wish him all the best, but he's irrelevant, mate. God forbid. Big up Nottingham Forest fans, but if you don't get relegated, maybe he's available, innit? Maybe. And also, when you look at transfers, there's also a lot of third parties. We don't know what his agent was asking. We don't know if his personal terms were an issue. We'll just never know. We should just put the money down for Benassia, bring him home, and he'll be worth it. He looks like he might just sign a new deal. Didn't clock you as live. I'm happy about Trossard. Glad they didn't do this the right type of signing height, recognizing the opportunity. And that's what I like as well. There's an opportunity to bring someone that can help us, 28 years of age, even if he only plays for 4 years. What, my man's 32, you can still offer stuff. Obviously, Trossard is quick and things like that, and he plays in areas where if you haven't got pace, then you're in a problem. But it's not like he's big up Theo Walcott, I'm doing you dirty, and it's not necessarily true. But if his game was just based on pace, obviously the older he gets, the more he regresses. There's a problem. His game seems intelligence. You know, I could see him linking up with Odegaard and Saka, kind of doing those 1-2s, them short passes. There's a lot to like about Trossard. There's no need to overgas it, but I think it's a good buy and a shrewd addition. And I think that means, you know what, fans could give up on the Zaha thing. DG, how do you feel about Onana from Everton if they get relegated? Not the worst of signings. 7 goals this season is calm. He can help us. Amen. Just need a centre mid now, and I'm good. El Nene is hurt now, and we can't afford having no proper cover for Partey. You're right. Still, anything happens to him, as I just said, for me, then I think we've just got to do the Arsene Wenger thing. Get all the Zinchenko, Smith Rose, Fabios, all of them in the team. Demand a bit more defensive of Xhaka and go from there, because I believe in Lokonga. But if we're just targeting 3 points, like what? We got Man United and Man City in the FA Cup next week. Sorry, Lokonga, but I think we're more likely to win doing that. We might as well just commit to being better in the final third if we lose Partey. and we don't have that sort of thing. Shout out Benny. He's good depth. I can't lie, he's not better than Martin or Saka, but hopefully players unlock a new level for him. And again, respectfully to Brighton, when you're playing with other wavy players, in theory, you should look even more wavy. He scored brilliant goals against all the big clubs: Gunners, Man United, Spurs, Liverpool and City. The goals against City twisted up the whole of City's defence, then banged it. Sign him. Amen. And if he's a big game player, with us improving against big games since Arteta's walked in, probably highlighted in the fact of we've moved from playing well in segments like last season. I can't remember if it was in the cup or the league, but we lost to Liverpool and we were kind of in the game. It's just we switched off, Jota scored, and it was a madness. We've moved away from that and actually winning games, bringing guys that are on this thing. And for him, everyone thinks you're going to be on the bench. He has to say, nope, I'm coming to give Arteta some headache. So it is what it is. DG, what do you think about his attitude as he fell out with Brighton's coach? So what he's going to think when he's on the bench? I mean, it's a new club. It's a new situation. What I would say, Edu and specifically Arteta, if they had any concerns about my man's attitude, I don't think they bring him into the club. And I will give him the benefit in that it seems like there was a bit of a bust up. Cool, you know, this is a new club, a new situation. Your things are going to be different. It seems like, again, check out the video, the shorter video I did today. We was reading some articles and it's like he had some sort of disagreement with a player. De Zerbi alienated him. No clue on who the other player was or what happened, but I have to assume that Trossard said sorry. I didn't say sorry, and my man did. Obviously, he has looked like it's not really happened for him after the World Cup, so maybe he's trying to engineer the move away, whether that was Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, whoever. So I don't know, but that Arteta will beat you up in it. So you see what happened to Ozil, Guendouzi, and Bambi, and you act up. Your Arsenal career will be over before you even unpacked. Trossard is not even rapid, so his age does not matter since he's not reliant on speed. He should be able to be at his current levels for around 3-4 years. I'm not going to lie, by then, other players should step up really and truly. People get the likes up to 200 and subscribe. Road to 100K. Join the DG Nation. Appreciative to that. Trossard should put all those Nketiah misses. I'm sure he could probably play up front, man. Big up, James. I mean, James, I think I just covered the attitude thing, so you're in the right thingies, man. A lot of teams will come with deep blocks like Newcastle, so having him come off the bench, it's more the profile because he's great technically. He's an intelligent passer. He can play in them tight spaces as well. Like I can really see him linking up with Odegaard and all these guys. He can play in a couple of roles, as you can see on Transfermarkt as well. That's another angle for Mikel Arteta to flirt with up front. I wouldn't mind him seeing him in the 10 and obviously out wide. He actually at times has played as a fullback, but we're not here for that, man. DG, shouldn't we trigger Nico Williams' clause? He has massive upside under Arteta, and he's already a Spain World Cup player. Cost an arm and a leg, and I can't lie, I'm 60% convinced. Look like a good player, but there's something kind of unlocking. The only thing I'm a bit like, 20 million on a player that's kind of running out the deal, 28. Like, are we panicking to a degree? Is there any other thingies? I don't know, but it'll work out, man. I would like a centre mid as well, man. If he has attitude problems with the league leaders, then he's a lost cause. We have more games than Brighton with Europe, so this talk of bench may not be necessary. I mean, you will get your fair amount of times, man. Didn't even notice you passed 50K, DG. Big up, shout to everyone. Matoma would cost a lot more, man. And Declan Rice, they're saying 70, 80, 90, 100. So the reports can say Arsenal are as confident as they like about signing Declan Rice. As you've seen with a couple of signings, you put the bread down or you don't get the player. There's over 300 of you locked in on YouTube and there's only 76 likes. If you have not hit that like button, unexpected high bills are following you people. So yeah, shout out to you lot, man. It is what it is in that regard. Let's see what's actually being said in the papers and things, people. What's this? So yeah, that was the comment where he said about the bench thing. If the opportunity arises, I want to go, but I want to play and not sit on the bench. You'll get game time. Have you not seen what we're dealing with at this club? So yeah, we'll have to see. That was in September, people. Scrolling down, the initial news that came out this morning was Fabrizio Romano. He said Arsenal have opened talks to sign Leandro Trossard from Brighton. Negotiations are advanced with official bid ready for permanent move. Personal terms already agreed. Talks will continue. Get the deal done soon. So people said Edu needs to move rapid. He needs to do things faster. There you have it. We have been linked with ZANIOLO as well. Just to make sure. No one make me forget that, people. Allegedly, Arsenal have opened talks with him. Let's scroll all of them things, couple of tabs there, but staying up with one at first. Arsenal work. Can you lot still hear me? Yeah, you should be. Arsenal are working on Leandro Trossard deal. Arsenal are working on a deal to sign Leandro Trossard from Brighton and Hove Albion, says David Ornstein. This was 4 hours ago. The Premier League leaders are in talks with Brighton, although the two clubs have not yet reached an agreement. So again, We haven't reached an agreement. He hasn't had his medical. Anything's up in arms. I don't think Trossard, we're going to see the Chelsea hijack, but until it's signed, he's having medicals, pictures are coming out. We need to be easy. The Premier League leaders, as I said, are in talks with Brighton, although the two clubs have not yet reached an agreement. Trossard, 28, is among the candidates Arsenal are considering this month after they missed out on a deal to sign Mudryk. And I think this transfer market has reminded us that, obviously, we're just normal football fans, but all these journalists and things, essentially, it's all guesswork, because 24 hours ago, we was reading in the transfer news that we've been offered Trossard, we're not on it. So maybe that is lies. Maybe we was offered Trossard, we said no, we tried to do other things, it didn't happen, and it is what it is, you know. Apparently, he's among the candidates Arsenal are considering this month after they missed out on a deal to sign Mudryk. De Zerbi has defended his treatment of Trossard, however, and said this week it's not a bad situation, it's a great situation. Sounds like a bit of a madman to Brighton gaffer. I like him a lot. I want to be clear about Trossard. I don't think I've made a mistake with him. The people inside Brighton know very well the situation, and to be fair to Trossard, to De Zerbi and Brighton, there's always three sides to every story, innit? There's Trossard's side, there's the gaffer's side, and there's actually what happened in it. So we'll never know. We're not privy to any of that. I'm fine with myself, and I'm ready to open the doors for him because he's a good guy and a very important player for us. He changes the team, but he has to understand and to work with my attitude in my way, because I am the coach. I decide the rules inside the dressing room, only this. And that gives us, for me, that gives Arsenal more calls to get this guy or calls to not get him, because you got to remember his contract is running out. So Brighton need to sell him. They have an option of another year. But to a degree, that is almost irrelevant if the player is, you know, not necessarily a positive figure in and around the dressing room. You know, like we've seen with Arsenal, you want to get them out sooner rather than later, because I'm sure Brighton's local press, again, assuming Trossard stayed until the end of the season, they're going to consistently ask the gaffer about him. And we've been there with Ozil. We've been here many a times. You don't want to keep speaking about such. So the fact that his contract is running down and he's not behaving himself at the club, James, shout out to you for becoming a member, kind of strengthens our hand, really. So I'm not sure we'll commit 20 million, really, if I'm honest with you, but I don't know. I'm not a finance man, and I don't really care, really, because it's not my bread. We have been linked with Zaire Emre. You know how much of a fan I am of his, but I'm not going to get excited with that, man. It would be poetic justice if Trossard scores at the Emirates against them. Moving on, people. More on the Trossard deal scoop. Been told talks, or, you know, Fabrizio was so excited, man, spelled talks wrong. Talks are very advanced as Arsenal are prepared to close. Fabrizio, you're acting. Arsenal are prepared to close the deal in the next hours. Not early stages, but progressing fast for a permanent move. Full agreement reached on personal terms. It will be a long-term contract for Trossard. So he'll be joining playing for a historical big club like Arsenal. He's moving to London. His wages are probably going to get a healthy pickup. 28 years of age, he might have that security of 3 years plus an option of another one. Because although I'm not that guy that's going to cry about someone getting old and things, when you sign people at 28, you need to think about the exit strategy, especially if we're doing this youngster thing and Martinelli, Saka, probably some other players started developing. Trossard, naturally, we're going to have to find an exit strategy, really and truly. Let's see if there's been any update from Romano on such. I mean, Lemire signed for Bayern Munich. Don't really care about that. Don't really care about Swansea doing stuff, or Colorado Rapids, or Alanga. So it doesn't see. Danny Ings went Aston Villa as well. That kind of took everyone. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Carrying on that, Ben Jacobs has said Arsenal are now in fast-moving talks to sign Leandro Trossard, as per Fabrizio Romano first reported. Trossard had been looking for an exit for months. So again, in the footballing world, he's been looking for exit for months. So that further strengthens anyone trying to buy him. So we must have indirectly held some talks. I'm not saying he was the number one target. Clearly he wasn't, but there must have been a list of guys. Okay, Rafinha isn't. We wanted Rafinha in the summer. It's not working out for him at Barca. I've got good relationships with Deco if I'm Edu. Let's see what the situation is. I like Ferran Torres, Arteta might say. Let's see what's going on there. You know, we want Mudryk. He's the number one target. Let's try and deal with Shakhtar. Who knows? We might spin the block for Pedro Neto or anybody else. You know, we've been linked with Fogando Torres, who come out the other day and said that, you know, we had talks and we heard that. Trossard has to have been someone, as we kind of reflecting the same things they're saying. How you feeling about wanting Spurs to win makes my belly funny, man. James, forget all of that. And no, the only way I'd ever advocate for Spurs to win is if Arsenal, they literally are the difference between Arsenal staying in the Prem or not. And even then, I'd probably want us to go. Man said, how can you use Twitter in white mode? Allow me, man. We don't segregate. I don't want Spurs to win. Obviously, a draw would be perfect. I'd rather City win. I want misery for Spurs. I want misery. All I heard was proven winner hype, Conte, big game specialist, defensively solid. How's that working out? Anyways, yeah, man. Trossard has been looking for an exit for months and has been offered to several Premier League clubs. Spurs bid 12 million previously, and that fell short of Brighton's valuation. So what is his valuation? I mean, if talks are progressing quickly, where Spurs are acting, we're doing what we need to do. So what? We lost out for João Felix and Mudryk. At least we can say we bullied someone for their signing, in it, people. So it doesn't seem like there's any updates. Anything that emerges in relation to that, you can rest assured I'll get the videos out, man. Big up a gal, but who is that? I know who he is, but that ain't me. Oh yeah, I thought. But anyways, Arsenal open talks to sign Brighton star Leandro Trossard for 20 million after stealing a march on rivals Tottenham as Belgium pushes to leave this month. And his agent previously said this is the best situation. Arsenal have entered the race to sign Brighton forward Leandro Trossard. As you know, he's in a standoff with De Zerbi. Tottenham have been monitoring his situation, but Arsenal have stolen a march on their North London rivals by opening talks with Brighton over a January move. Up until yesterday, Trossard was still training alone at Brighton, and it is now increasingly likely that he leaves. Can we get him in for the United game? It makes our bench stronger. A debut goal might put him in the FPL. Sportsmail understands the fee will be in the region of 20 million, which is definitely a lot cheaper than Mudryk, and 20 million quid, 28 years of age. If he's at least here till 30, 32, that's 4 years for 20 million. It's all right. But then again, why would we not put that down on Telemans, even though it's a different position and he's 25? I don't know. But Mikel Arteta has been on the lookout for a new forward this month and looked on course to sign Mudryk. Chelsea intervened. The Gunners have moved quickly, however, to identify other targets and are now hopeful of getting a deal for Trossard over the line in the coming days. As you know, Trossard and De Zerbi have had a public falling out of late, with the manager criticising the player's attitude and work rate since his return from the World Cup with Belgium. So in a nasty way, he's trying to engineer a move, innit? He don't really want to be here again, innit, really? And he's probably spoken to his Belgium dons about, I play for this club, that club, and the other. He don't want to be there, really. If he's engineered it for months, that has to have happened before the World Cup. They have to have known Trossard's feelings for a while. As you know, the Brighton coach revealed that the Belgian recently walked out on training after discovering he was admitted from their side to face Middlesbrough in the FA Cup. But hey, it's a bit mad. He has not played for them this year, so what is his physical conditioning like? Because although he's training and he did play at the World Cup as a bit part player, nothing can replicate match minutes, really. It's a bit like Mudryk. Again, you know, he's irrelevant at Chelsea, but if Arsenal did sign him, there was a break in Shakhtar's season. You know, after the World Cup was done, we was playing straight away. So what's his physical conditioning like, really and truly? But yeah, rumours had circulated the Belgian was a key target for Arsenal's rivals Tottenham, but it appears the Gunners, will win the race for the attacking midfielder. In a statement released last week, his agent lifted the lid on his client's fractious relationship with De Zerbi. Let's click this and see what happens as well. I don't like his attitude. Let's see what this is about. He's been embroiled in a war of words with manager De Zerbi after being axed from today's squad to face Liverpool due to concerns over his attitude, and they swiped them 3-0. So I can't lie, the manager won that battle. Again, he was expected to miss the match against the Jurgen Klopp's team, with the attacker currently training away from the first team. Trossard has been struggling. This was on the 13th of January, people. He's been struggling with a slight calf injury, but sources have indicated Trossard's lack of involvement with the senior squad is a decision taken by manager De Zerbi amid concerns over the forward's attitude and work rate. Brighton have refused to comment, people. Apparently, he said at the time, Leandro isn't in the list of players for tomorrow. The last training session before the Middlesbrough game last Sat, when he understood he didn't play, he left the session without saying anything to me, and it's not good. I mean, he wanted to bust out anyway, so he probably thought, F you, I don't get paid enough. It's bad mind, but how many of us have been leaving a job anyways, and then we mentally check out, innit? I've done that. Like, all right, cool, I'm leaving early. I've definitely had jobs where, like, we finish at 6. I'm busting out at 5. Like, what's going to happen? It's bad mind, but yeah. The Monday after, I spoke with him and I explained this attitude, this behavior I don't like. He knows very well that if he wants to play with Brighton with me, he has to work hard, he has to run, he has to be in the right way, because we are not a big team such as Real Madrid or Barcelona. We are Brighton, and we need players who work like others who stay in Brighton. I mean, he's got to pattern up himself, innit? He's got to pattern up. He's got to relax himself, really and truly, because Arteta will beat you up. And we're doing this youngster thing. You've got young players like young-ish, like the Odegaards, the Jesus, the Zinchenko, setting great examples. The same goes for Mo El Nene, even someone like Cedric that isn't even playing, Granit Xhaka, etc. You got to behave yourself, because, like he said, we're not Brighton. Like, better players have been banished for less, innit? So behave yourself. I don't want to have to start hating on you, innit? I want to have all my hate for Mudryk. But anyways, I don't know what is the problem. I want to be clear. I am open with him to take a step back and listen to him, but he has to understand with me, I only want players who work hard and play for the team 100%. It's in his best interest to do that because you'll get a move, but the man don't want to be there, innit? Apparently, his agent said before Leandro left for Qatar, that's a goalie, Qatar, Brighton intended to re-sign Leandro. This did not happen as the parties did not come to an agreement. Leandro has also indicated that he's ready for his next step. After the World Cup, there was an altercation between Leandro and another player at training about a trivial matter. Since then, the trainer no longer speaks to Leandro, which is why I'm saying there's three sides. There's his side, the gaffer side, and the truth. Which is obviously not conducive to the atmosphere as well as the performance. Leandro still had a starting place against Southampton and Arsenal, but against Everton, he was on the bench. He was also not included in the 5 substitutions that took place at the time, and this without any explanation. I mean, the manager doesn't owe you anything. Of course, it'd be upsetting not to play. He doesn't owe you anything. In the run-up to the match against Middlesbrough for the FA Cup, Leandro had already indicated twice that he had problems with his calf. This is why he stopped training. This was incidentally in consultation with the medical staff. Leandro has had to learn through the physical trainer that he has to train separately last Monday. The trainer indicated that he no longer wanted to see him. A trainer who has not communicated directly with his players for 4 weeks is really incomprehensible. And again, there's 3 sides to every story. Smash the like button. Over 500 of you locked in across Twitch and YouTube. It's also the trainer who has indicated, sorry, I don't know what I was doing there, who has indicated several times that a transfer is the most convenient solution. So it's the beginning of the end, really and truly. It's therefore important that Brighton cooperates in a potential transfer and acts benevolently, which is beneficial to both parties. Spurs had a firm interest, light work in it. Again, his deal does run down. He has the option to extend it by 12 months. Apparently, De Zerbi said, I don't know about the transfer market, if he wants to change teams or not. It's not my problem. I'm only a coach. I'm not thinking about the transfer market, the other teams or other discussions. The only discussion is to play for the team and to work and to run on the pitch. Leao is one of the best players in the squad. I understand something about football, but I also know to achieve the results, we have to be a group and to think for the team before ourselves. This is one of the first rules in my head. Amen. I can't see Trossard improving the Arsenal team. What does he bring to the team that Arsenal doesn't have? Or can he push for a starting role with the skill set? And I say he's average at best. There's been plenty of average players at Arsenal and other teams that have won league trophies that have done well. It's not always about improvement. Obviously, where we are as a club, you kind of want players that raise the curtain. I don't think he necessarily does that, but he can complement and add his own variety to it. And I'm not being funny. Have you seen our bench? I'm not saying sign people just because of that, but he could definitely help us, really. As long as you're competent, confident, and consistent, I don't care if you're world-class or average. You know, it doesn't matter what your ability is. If you're not confident in those, if you're not competent in your role, and if you're not consistent, it's all a myth, really and truly. So it all depends what you're looking at. But that's took us slightly off task with that. Further reports coming out, Arsenal are negotiating with Brighton over Leandro Trossard. Sorry, people, let's pause this because we're going to get hit with a copyright thing. Arsenal have taken the first steps. Negotiations about Leandro Trossard are ongoing. Brighton wants at least 30 million euros for the Red Devil. The leader in the Premier League hopes to be able to reduce that price. In the meantime, Brighton has fished him out again. Trossard has been training with the first team again since Tuesday, people. I don't want to keep going over this, people. But then again, this is new. Actually, nothing serious has happened. He just didn't go full on training and matches. I can't take that. I also have to apologize for nothing. Okay. And apparently he refuses to sign another contract. As you know, Arsenal are still looking at players. Trossard likes to switch to the Premier League leaders also because he can earn considerably more. Trossard has been on the radar for the Gunners for 4 years, and he has been someone we've looked at since his days in Belgium, as you can see via the link. So I'm sure there's old scouting reports we could have went over, people. Once again, Arsenal make shock transfer move for Brighton star Trossard as personal terms agreed. Arsenal have reportedly turned their attentions to Brighton star Leandro Trossard in an ongoing bid to bring another forward into Mikel Arteta's squad, people, and that's all there is in that. We've been linked with ZANIOLO, who allegedly is available for 35 to 40 million euros, people. Arsenal, West Ham, Newcastle, Tottenham, Leicester, and Borussia Dortmund are all allegedly interested. Apparently, he was heckled by his own fans. He's obviously got contractual stuff going on, people. So, again, take of that with a pinch of salt. Allegedly, he's asked to leave Roma. He's reportedly asked his entourage to secure him a move away from Roma and mid-interest from clubs like Arsenal and Spurs. Arsenal, he fits the profile, 23 years of age, contract running down. Spurs, obviously, Conte, Italian brother. The only thing that puts me off ZANIOLO, and I've got a big fan of his movement, he's off the ball runs, he does the Aaron Ramsey sort of stuff, technical brilliance. He's had 2 big ACL injuries at 23. It's dangerous. And as you can see here, it was booed against Genoa people. They're trying to get him to sign a new deal. Apparently, they're open to the idea of selling him people. They've put him on a price tag of 35 to 40 million euros. The club would even accept a loan deal with an obligation to buy clause attached to people. So, yeah, he's drawing interest. It all depends on whatever conclusions you want to draw in his regards. Some reports, again, until people are holding shirts, you never know in this life. Arsenal open talks with Roma for Zanolio. Arsenal have, let's pause this. I don't need any copyright issues. Arsenal, move this, man. Arsenal have open talks with Roma for attacking midfielder Zanolio, and Roma are prepared to sell the Italy international with less than 18 months to run on his contract. This article says the Gunners have open talks with Roma for another former Inter Milan junior. There's been no concrete offer made as of yet. Roma have ruled out a loan departure, but a sale worth 30 to 40 million will be considered. A loan with an obligation to buy is also an option. So, pinch of salt settings. Once again, talks are underway, people, for Trossard. Again, he's got 6 months left on his deal. There has not been an official offer made for him, but Arsenal are expected to formalise their initial interest into a bid. Brighton will not sell one of their star players unless Chairman Tony Bloom's valuation is met, despite the 28-year-old's public demands to leave the club. Tottenham have already had an offer rejected for Trossard and are instead pursuing Zanolio. As you know, he's in the last 6 months of his deal, but has an option of a further year. So it all depends what you want to read into that, people. And I think we've seen a lot of this, people. You know, I think I've read that a lot, people. Why Trossard appeals to Arsenal at 28. He's 28 until he's 29, just so we're clear. Leandro Trossard differs in profile from Arsenal's other recent signings. This is a player for here and now, experience over potential. He might not set pulses racing like the explosive Mudryk, a player Arsenal regarded as a future superstar. But while his ceiling is not as high, Trossard offers plenty the Ukrainian doesn't. For a start, there is the Premier League experience he has gained at Brighton, where he's made 116 appearances across 4 seasons, missing only a handful of games. Being able to stay fit is another thing, and scoring a healthy number of goals, with 7 of his 25 coming this season. That experience makes him a safe bet to slot straight in at Arsenal, which is precisely what's needed given their reliance on Martinelli, who in the last couple of games looked a bit leggy still, and Saka as they seek to sustain their title challenge. When you look at his Premier League statistics, allegedly goals from open play, he's third with 7. Open play expected goals, he's 15th. I'm not sure if you want to read into that. Touches in the up box, he's 7 with 101. Through balls attempted, he's 7th with 9. Possession won in the final third, which off the ball is central to what Arteta wants. He's 4th with 20. Trossard has versatility. He's primarily a left winger, as we said, pardon me, much like Mudryk. But this season, he has also featured at number 10 and as a false 9. And as I said, even as a left wing back. So that tells you me that you're intelligent, which Arteta has that. I'm not saying you're going to play there, but you've seen it with Tomiyasu, with Benjamin White, with the way Xhaka's role's been tweaked, with Saka, with Martinelli, with the way Eddie Nketiah plays in that role as well, with Fabio Vieira, a number of roles. Arteta will play you in certain roles if you're actually good enough. We've come a long way from Willian playing up front and Cedric Suarez playing left back, and that, you know, players that can actually do their role and do others. I'm all for it. He looks a good fit stylistically too. De Zerbi felt his effort levels had dropped off in recent weeks. I mean, his work rate's good, people. You know, apparently around his future, but the statistics highlight an impressive work rate, with only 3 players in Kevin De Bruyne, Arsenal's Martin Odegaard, and Jack Harrison winning possession in the final third more time this season. 28 is calm, man. It is what it is. Arsenal have already been given 50 million transfer warning over Brighton deal for Leandro Trossard. I mean, Benjamin White, you made us overpay at the time. Nothing to do with him, and it's worked out. But he had 1 Premier League season. So we know we've worked with Brighton before, but Brighton have to remember, you know, you're going to lose a depreciating asset, you know, because while you have another contract, the more he's not playing, the more you're at loggerheads, he's going to play less, you know. You want to just get someone like this off your wage book. So I do think Brighton have a strong hand, but at the same time, it's not as strong as when you're trying to negotiate for Benjamin White, who's in his early 20s, who had a fairly decent contract. So it's not really the same. I don't think this article is going to say anything new, people. So it is what it is. We know, I mean, this isn't anything. We know we had 1 bid rejected for Benjamin White, and we eventually got there, really. And we know Cucurella, Basuma, they got what they wanted. Apparently, Moses Caicedo could leave as well to Chelsea. They want 75 million. You know, if they do lose Trossard, McAllister, and Caicedo, then I don't know for Brighton, but Brighton are a forward-thinking club. They've probably got the replacement for the replacement. Shout out to Arsenal's goalkeeper, Ovi. He's joined Finnish side SJK on loan. That's Bandulu. But shout out to you, going a long way from the National League with Chelmsford. Do your thing, my guy. But moving away from that, probably going to go away from the Limstrong rumours. Apparently, he wants to make history for club and country. Now, probably the 22-year-old's chapter with Arsenal is probably done. Scrolling all the way down, people, Arsenal, Dortmund and Leipzig want Jesper Lindstrom. Is there anything else here? Blind, usually well informed in soccer, whatever that is, reported last September that Arsenal was keeping tabs on the young Dane. By October, Dortmund and Leipzig reportedly joined the pursuit of the Lindstrom, but the Arsenal rumours struck. Coach Mikel Arteta has wanted a new attacking option for midfield and the wings for quite some time. Early in January, it looked like Arsenal had found their man in Mudryk, and obviously he's at Chelsea. That doesn't say anything else. Meanwhile, the list of Lindstrom's suitors is growing day by day, and it's also name-dropped Liverpool and Napoli. So, yeah, man, apparently he's happy at Denmark. I don't really care for his interview, people, unless they ask him about potentially moving one day, which I don't think they have, just skimming through this. We've been linked with Warren Zaire Emery, bro. This early 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 18-year-old, however old you are, in fact, you're probably at 18, 19 at PSG. I think he's going to be a star one day, people, in midfield. If Arsenal were to get him, it would be great, but he's now starting to get a look in their first team, and they just got him to sign a new deal. Arsenal are plotting a move for PSG wonder kid Warren Zaire Emery. Shout out to everyone that was at my youth watch-alongs where we literally watched him together in the January transfer window, according to a report in France, although a deal cannot officially be completed until a later date. Okay, let's see the specifics. According to RMC's Fabrice Hawkins, Arsenal want to sign Zaire Emery in January. PSG are desperate to keep hold of the 16-year-old. Oh, yeah, he's even younger. And the 16-year-old long-term, and consider a move for him during the current window to be off the table. In August, he became their youngest ever player, PSG, to play in the Liga. People, bring him. If Arsenal were to agree a deal, he would not be eligible to officially move to the Gunners yet due to FIFA rules, which state the English clubs cannot sign a foreign player until they turn 18 post-Brexit. I mean, we must be able to get around that, really. But, yeah, we've been linked with him. They'd be stupid. He doesn't turn 17 until March, people. The man's going to be a star, man. An absolute star. Apparently, Arsenal are one of the sides who really like him. I'm willing to say he'll be a French international one day. We've been linked with Osimhen. We covered that yesterday. They said 100-odd million. Arsenal, again, very interested in Moussa Diaby after Mudryk deal collapsed. Understand there were initial talks between the Gunners and Leverkusen, but the Bundesliga side don't want to sell the French winger in January. Summer transfer more likely. Price tag is 75 million euros plus huge bonuses. That was a follow-up from when he said in March of last year, Arsenal, Man United and Newcastle were interested in Diaby. So maybe we get Trossard. We part that off. Probably Reece Nelson's not going to be here next season. Maybe we bring in a next winger. So in the summer. So who knows, really and truly. Let's see if there's any update. Smash the like button if you have not done such already, folks. Let's see what this is saying. Please don't be just your personal opinion, man. Arsenal's switch transfer strategy as Leandro Trossard's Man United registration deadline set. Arsenal in advanced negotiations with Brighton over a deal for Leandro Trossard as talks continue between the two Premier League clubs. Arsenal have cast aside sporting director Edu and Mikel Arteta's freshly devised transfer policy to make a big push for Leandro Trossard, with negotiations between the two Premier League clubs now at advanced stage. The Gunners were left with virtually no other option. There's always an option. Even no options is an option. And there's always an option. We really think there wasn't. Probably not Premier League experience. But yeah, Arsenal are understood to have other targets on their shortlist. They were hell-bent on landing Mudryk this January. I mean, if I see this guy's name, I'm going to pull my eyes out again, man. With Rafinha seemingly unattainable as he favours staying put at Barcelona, attention then turned to Bayer Leverkusen's Moussa Diaby, a player of interest since the summer when he was briefly considered alongside Pedro Neto. Leverkusen was simply against the idea of a mid-season sale unless they received an irresistible offer worth close to the astronomical figure Chelsea shelled out for Mudryk. Furthermore, Leverkusen and other selling clubs around Europe are undoubtedly mindful that Arsenal have plenty of cash to hand, and that additionally, that doesn't help us. The Premier League leaders are determined to strengthen their forward line in the January market. The damaging combination of two factors is ultimately what has led Arsenal to Trossard after they were presented the chance to sign the 28-year-old from Brighton by his reps. So again, he's been pushed on the agent side, and it's an opportunity. As we know, January is a reactive market. In the past 18 months, we know that our recruitment strategy. I mean, we have until 12. It says we have until 12 p.m. Friday tomorrow to sign him if we want him on the bench for the Man United game, people. And with the Europa League coming into hand, we're going to need this really and truly. Arsenal are understood to have outlined their desire to pay around 20 million for Trossard, while Brighton valued the Belgian international at closer to 30. So is it a 20 million plus some bonuses, 20 odd, in which Brighton have done well for a one-away player whose contract's running down. Negotiations are believed to be fluid, and there's a sense from an Arsenal perspective this is a deal that could be completed. I have no doubt, but confident, sense of a deal being completed. We've been here before. Until my man's holding our shirt, it's a madness, man. I mean, whether he's on the bench or replacing players, bro, there's enough games. If you play well and your form's irresistible, you will keep your spot in the team. Anyone that's just signing to be on the bench, do not sign for my football club. So I do think he will be a bench player, but you can't come with that mentality. You're 28. You want to sit on... Being harsh. You're 28. You've played at World Cup. You want to sit on the bench for Saka and Martinelli, as great as they are, or Eddie and Nketiah. Myth. Go and play. Go and give Arteta headaches, positive headaches, which we're now getting. So yeah, man. 25 million, crazy. I mean, it's significantly cheaper. If he does the business, 25 million for a couple of years, it's all right. Again, Fogando Torres yesterday said, Orlando City confirmed to me that there was contact with Arsenal, but then I left for the World Cup and I didn't want to hear about a potential transfer at that point. So the conversation stayed there. But now that I'm back with the team, we'll see where the conversation goes. I would love to play in Europe. It's a dream I've had since I was a kid. At the moment, I'm focused on Orlando City, but La Liga or the Premier League would be my targets. And that's where the rumors are coming from. But yeah, I would absolutely love that, is what he said. What's that? Well, that's just me reading that. Let's see what this is said in relation to Arsenal news as well, folks. Oh, I really hate how goal.com's thing don't refresh. But yeah, I mean, we've been speaking about Trossard. Your opinions are not being aired, people. Arsenal allegedly have agreed personal terms with Trossard. We've talked about Fogando Torres, literally people there. Fulham are still in talks with Cedric Suarez. Hopefully we get him a club and permanently, and Marquinhos can find a temporary club on a loan thing. Apparently, Chelsea are looking to sell Raheem Sterling, and apparently this Spanish outlet says Arsenal are alert to the case. We've inquired about Diaby. Check out all my transfer news videos on the playlist, people. This is, Darmstadt has said 100 million euros to even be interested. Allegedly, we're keeping tabs on Brighton's Mitoma. And as we all know, apparently Arsenal are eyeing West Ham captain Declan Rice in the summer. Arsenal are planning a summer move for West Ham midfielder Declan Rice and are growing in confidence that a deal can be done. So maybe if we save a few bob now, then there's some extra cash in the kitty, provided we get Champions League football and all of that, to do what we need to do, really and truly. We've been linked with bidding 71 million for Vlahovic. I don't know anything, but I think that chapter with Arsenal is closed. Obviously, Juventus, like Barca, are going through what they're going through. We've been quoted 100 million euros for Rafinha. Apparently we've been trying to sign Ivan Fresnadar from Real Valladolid. He could cost 10 to 15 million euros, but some articles say if he plays a couple more games for Valladolid, that shoots up to 30 million euros. So could it be worth buying him now, letting him stay, because he's just starting his professional top flight career, letting him stay over there for another year, next summer, full preseason, you're part of this. Because while I would like another right back, Ben White, Tomiyasu, we quote unquote covered there, innit? But that appears to be it, really and truly, unless you want to keep talking about Mudryk, people, who does not play for Arsenal Football Club again. And I'm pretty sure you lot don't. So we'll have to see exactly how that develops, man. But yeah, I'm just making a timestamp so that can be cut up. Right, in the summer. Y'all be latest. No, yo. So yeah, that's a thingy. Let me scroll all the way up, people, because I'm aware I've been doing you lot quote unquote kind of dirty. Still, you're not being aired. 182 likes. There's over 500 of you, man. If you ain't hit the like button, shame on you lot. Get all your opinions in, people. Now let's see what you lot are doing. I need to scroll all the way up, man, because I don't want to do you lot dirty. Deluded Trossard would be our best substitute right now, if we're being honest. I mean, Smith Rowe might have something to say about that. Don't worry about a low contract, DG. We just need to get him. I hear that. Mitoma would cost a lot more. Hopefully, we're saving this cash for Rice in the summer. Amen. Or at least a centre mid, because I think we might have to be cruel to be kind. Big up Xhaka and Partey, and I'm not saying to sell them, but I think that's the next step. We need to pattern. Not that it isn't pattern, but to go to the next level, I think we need a centre mid, man, that can really dictate the tempo of the game, excluding Odegaard and what Xhaka do. Why did our interest in Declan Rice come out so early? Shouldn't our board keep our moves a bit more secluded? In theory, yes, but what really can you keep a secret? To us football fans, Mudryk was a secret, but we heard Leverkusen, Nice, Everton, Newcastle, Arsenal at the end, Chelsea in the summer as well. Everybody was talking to Mudryk at some level in the summer. If you're trying to buy a man in the summer, these clubs, whether they get it right or wrong, they're not idiots. They don't just see, I'm sure occasionally, but they don't just wake up one day, look at the papers and Mudryk. They had to have been following him for the last year or two. In fact, if you remember correctly, Shakhtar actually played Chelsea in the youth league, and he actually did all right from what I can remember. If you don't know what the youth league is, it's the youth equivalent of the Champions League. So what is really a secret? It's not like the days Wenger comes here, first foreign manager to give Sir Alex Ferguson issues. He's got the French market on lock. Everyone knows everything. Arsenal should be doing that. If there's, I don't know, if whether we're going to Somalia, Brazil, Spain, other parts of England, we should be looking. We should have our own scouting and stuff. But if we hear, I don't know, in Siberia, in Somalia, in Brazil, in Argentina, in Jamaica, in Barbados, if we hear Chelsea, Spurs, Liverpool, Real Madrid, if we're not looking in that area necessarily, and we hear they are, Edu should send a scout over there just to look, because them man are looking as well. Napoli, the same things. You know, that's where it is. Everybody looks, everyone's got their own scouting things, but everybody's looking at what everyone's doing. There's nothing you can't keep a secret. The only thing we could learn from the Mudryk deal is, could we have got it done in the summer? If we couldn't, at the minute it shut in the summer, could we have kept negotiations going so that January the 1st, we've agreed him? Doesn't matter what Chelsea are doing. It's just the speed, because you either have, you either move quickly once you're convinced on these guys, if you didn't find them at their emergence spot, or you go for that Napoli Don who's now at Napoli, the Georgian lad, KK, I can't say his name, when he's at Ruben Kazan, or you go for Rafinha when he's at Rennes, because he was linked with us, or you go for Pedro Neto, like you can see in my videos when he's at Lazio and Braga and these things. In nowadays, it's probably the speed in what you do things. It's probably the money you're prepared to put down. And ultimately, it's the contingency plans. We're going to have this Mudryk situation again and again in every other club. Real Madrid, at one point, it looked like they're getting... And again, what's reported in the press is very different from what's actually happening, the illusion and the facts. But we was all led to be believed, and it still will happen at one day, that Haaland and Mbappe, it was a formality that probably this season they'll both be playing at the Bernabeu. That didn't happen. There has to be contingency plans. So it all depends where you look at things, really, man. So Nolio bid by the Spurs rejected. If Arsenal are interested, Ed, you better hurry up. Good player if he stays fit, but he's a bit bandooly with the injuries, so I'd probably leave him, man. 2 big ACLs at 23. Oh, I'm always going to give the benefit of the doubt, but he wants to play on a bigger stage than Brighton. Man's just played in the World Cup. He's in his peak. I get that. He's not even on the Aubameyang bad egg level. I think Trossard is a good signing, but we can take the extra cash to build our midfield. I hear that. So, yeah, man, I think we see already. I mean, I'd love Camavinga, but Real Madrid be smoking serious crack to let him go, man, at this moment. Great if this deal comes through. I am happy to hear this news. He's going to bring another dimension to our game. This player is a quality acquisition, and if you want proof, look at the hat-trick he scored against Liverpool. I hear that. I hear that. He's good depth. I can't lie. He's not better than Martin or Saka, but players hopefully unlock a new level for him. DG, he's playing at Brighton. To be honest, they wasn't really hitting numbers like that. That's true. And again, you'll play a lot better, and there's a lot of tax that will be applied when you're playing with more quality players. 100%. I think I scrolled all the way up here. Elite comments, people. Elite talking points. You lot make the platform. Don't forget, people. We're watching Manchester City against Tottenham Hotspur at 7:50 today, people, as well. Need to act quick on Declan, or we'll see him get his debut at Chelsea next week, probably. And I mean, go all you want for Declan Rice. Have the 70, 80, whatever they want. But forget the man, the profile. Declan Rice is primarily in the team to win the ball back, be that box-to-box ball-winning midfielder. If that don't work, can you find someone either English or someone from whatever country that has the same skill set? Because as much as I'm having Declan Rice, great technically, Premier League proven, captain at West Ham. We've got people that have been captains or roles in responsibility. But Declan Rice, it's one of the worst kept secrets. He's going to divorce from West Ham sooner rather than later, contracted until 2024. Do I think there's a project we could sell him? Great. We're in London. Arteta is building things. We might be in the Champions League / we're in Europe, more than West Ham, but Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, maybe teams from abroad, they could all sell projects. So if you want them sort of players, like with the Mudryks, the Rices, the Rafinhas, you have to get into a fight, really and truly. Pretty sure this guy will be balling us to the Prem title. Arsenal in the Premier League battle. I don't check the title race. We just need to keep winning. How you feeling? Oh, I already saw that. What I want to know is who is going to step up into the Partey role one day. Patino, very different profile, but I do back Charlie to do a thing. I remember when I told you that you wouldn't get to the top based on the fact that you're always trying to stay safe and in the middle, never being outright giving your opinion. Damien, I appreciate your opinion, but I would say you're wrong, man. I think I'm doing quite well, man. And I think, I'll take that. But I mean, I'm nowhere near. I've only scratched the surface of my potential. I'm not just going to come out and cap because you want to hear things. Pretty sure those that can understand what I'm actually saying have got my opinion. But I mean, been on UEFA, been on the BBC, been on ITV, been on Sky Sports. What else have I been on? Been on Arsenal.com. So You know, without even hotting myself as well, there's some influential people in the world of football that F with me. You know, there's certain, I'm not going to talk of my thing, but there's certain people, I've even done videos about them and things like that. You know, a lot of parents, a lot of agents, a lot of footballers, a lot of executives, they've up with the guy. So I'll take your opinion. I appreciate Damien, but do I take their opinion and do I look at the facts? Or do I listen to someone talking crap on the gigahertz, probably on a sticky keyboard? I appreciate your opinions. I appreciate your paragraph. Grown man sending the next man paragraphs. It's a bit crazy, but fair enough, man. I can't argue with facts. You can, and you think I'm capping, especially with the platforms, you can go out and look at them. You know, done even pieces on mental health and things. And this is before I've even scratched the surface, before the graphics are even lit and all of these things. I'm not trying to be boastful. I'm not trying to do anything, but let's look at the facts. I can either look at them opinions or I can look at yours. And this is why in life, people, you take opinions and learn from them. In a weird way, Damien, you know, ain't that the devil's name? You know, that's why you should listen to them, man. I take your opinions, but it's down to me whether I want to take them in or not. So one love, man. One love, Killy. One love. But yeah, man, it is what it is. You know, I say what I think. I'm not going to talk something I don't believe in, but don't know. Trossard don't want to war with Arteta. You'll get swiped like Tinder. Brighton see Spurs and Chelsea as rivals for Europa / Conference League places, so they probably won't sell Trossard to them. Listen, let's just help them out. Calcedo, help us out. Or if you're going to, you know, cool, we're not probably going to spend 70 million. The next batch of the McAllisters, the Trossards, the Benjamins, the Basumas. Obviously, Basuma didn't really work out. The next batch of them sort of guys, Brighton. Remember who gave you 50 million for Ben White off the back of one Premier League season? We thank you for Benjamin because he's doing well. But remember, yeah, let's build this relationship together, innit? Welcome to another Arsenal transfer daily as Arsenal are in advanced talks with Brighton for 20 million. Personal terms are agreed according to Romano. I hear that. We signed him what we said. He's already, the minute he signs for Arsenal, he's the best Belgian in the league. Same way Onene is the best Egyptian. Big up DG. This is the first news we've heard about his attitude. Let's not judge him harshly off this. The club might be trying to treat him bad because he might be pushing for a move. Amen. There's always three sides to the story in this case. Leandro, Roberto, and the truth. There you have it. Trossard is a solid player. I think we need him for squad depth. I'm with it, man. I am with this. Must be both because I've never seen you, man, as rivals outside of a postcode. I must be something else. Bro, these fans, we need depth. Don't people watch games? I mean, fans are weird. They said, oh, my God, Smith Rowe is going to be in trouble. We can't sign a winger because of Saka. And these are the same fans that say, oh, my God, we haven't got enough depth. Football's a squad game. It's never been more of a squad game than now. Look at City. Now, City's an anomaly because of the money they spend and the players they bring in. But you see the depth. You know, our very own Zinchenko, he might not be, I wouldn't say he's not one of the key players for City, but he might not be the biggest shirt seller at Manchester City last season. But there was points, him, Gabriel Jesus, they came on and changed the season. I'm sure the last game of the season against Aston Villa, Zinchenko came off the bench and made a massive difference. And that happens in everything. You have the, you know, sometimes you had someone like Ray Parlour at Arsenal, wasn't the most glamorous, but was a big game player. And that's why he's one of my favorite Arsenal players after the typical names. So, yeah, man, age thing is overhyped, my guy. You know, obviously there are some cases where age is a problem, but for me, it's more the skill set. What are they reliant on? You know, it's how they look after themselves, which evidently I'm not privy to because I don't know what Trossard eats or doesn't eat and whatnot. But it is what it is. And I just think you need some experience. As much as I like this youngster thing Arsenal are doing, you need some experience. That's why I'm a big fan of why we have Granit Xhaka, why we have Thomas Partey, El Nene in his little role and that. So, yeah. Man, are moving like Trossard is a scrub. Bet these man want Diaby because he's stat padding in Ars Liga. Oh, you're moving mad, man. We don't need players that can be starters in this window. We just need depth. And Trossard, I hear that, but at the same time, we do. I don't think Trossard wants to cool on the bench, if I'm honest. Same way Eddie don't, same way Martinelli didn't. No one should, innit? Every training session, give Arteta a headache. You know, there's been plenty of bad headaches when we had Mustafi and Socrates. Give him a headache. I got to get Trossard in. Let me put him on the left. What do I do with Martinelli? Do I put him up front? Nah, that means Eddie and Jesus are in problems. Saka this, that, the other, and that all around the pitch. Give my man a headache. Give my man a headache. Ramsdale, White, Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, even Odegaard were seen as underwhelming signings. Look how these turned out. Arteta is a good coach and can improve the level of players. Tell him again. Arsenal want to be on Man City's level in terms of whoever they bring into the game. Yeah, but we're not going to drop 100 million on Grealish and etc. Really and truly. We just need to play. We just need to be a better club than we were. From what I've seen of Fresnadar, looks good. Conceding experience. Bring him, man. Trossard has attitude problems. It sounds like Xhaka 2.0. I wouldn't go as far as to say he's got attitude problems. It just he's had a disagreement with someone. It don't mean you've got an attitude problem. It just means, yeah, man, Trossard is technically sound. Elise 50 million release clause, or I'll try and negotiate lower than that, man. Big up DG, hit their likes. Unless we are prepared to abandon the FA Cup and Europa comps, we need players like Trossard who can slide in for Saka or Martinelli and have the level drop and not have the level drop significantly. Be a good signing, man. And, when you look at Odegaard, when you look at Jesus, when you look at Zinchenko, when you look at Saka, when you look at Martinelli, when you look at Smith Rowe, when you look at Fabio Vieira, when you look at Eddie Nketiah, when you look at Benjamin White, he doesn't look it. But when you look at Tomiyasu, when you look at Saliba, even to a degree Ramsdale and Gabriel, these guys are still kind of defining themselves as footballers, more so the attackers. Trossard, like with Xhaka, even though Xhaka's reworked his role, what you see is what you get in it. We know you can play across the front 4/5 positions. We know your thing already, in it. It's not, you don't really need to develop and all of those sort of things. Cut the Vlahovic noise. When you're banging goals and assisting, even doing your defensive duty, no reason why you shouldn't play. Amen. And Trossard does all of that. So yeah, man, it is what it is. Let's see if there's any updates with Fabrizio Romano. Let's keep our eyes and ears open to anything that's happening. I completely forgot. He just talked about Arthur. I completely forgot Arthur was at Liverpool. I can't lie. We don't need a Martinelli replacement. We need people who can come in for 25 minutes and do a job. I don't think he's going to come to do that. But in theory, if we're not bringing in, away from Trossard, in theory, if we're not bringing in wingers that shake up the thing or just players that shake up the thing, we're in issues. I see Rice coming in and replacing Xhaka. I think he's more playing a 6. I'll back Arteta if he thinks he can rework him and that. But Declan Rice in the 8 role can do it, I guess. Rice might be cheaper if West Ham get relegated, probably. We need to wrap the Trossard deal quickly, get this Fresnel deal wrapped up, and get a replacement for Partey to finish the window. Trossard is great for that. He's a fighter too. I mean, even if he's average, I don't think Trossard's average, but as long as you're competent, confident, and consistent, I don't care. I've seen plenty of average players at my club and other clubs win league titles and do things. Some of the players held in the highest regard in this game, without getting into it, are average. And there's a lot of players that are ballers, but you don't do it every week, or you don't do it out. If there's 4 games in a month, you've done it for 1 week. Where's the other 3 games? Zaha can push Martinelli for a starting spot. You gotta give the Zaha one a rest, man. I can't lie to you. I think you gotta give the Zaha one a rest still. What's up, DG? Can't we pay a club hush money to get a deal through the door? I mean, everybody's got someone in it, so I don't think it's possible in today's day and age. To a degree, I mean, there's obviously been a level of interest with Trossard. He's been linked with us already, but I wouldn't say it's kept under wraps. But we've woken up today and say, "Raw, like Trossard's arriving at the club," sort of thing. Where you look at Mudryk, Rafinha, it was very protracted. They could have been made into them pursuits. There could have probably been made. Vlahovic failed pursuit after Melo, probably to a degree. Yuri Telemans. These things could have been made into a Netflix documentary, really and truly. So yeah, man, really good signing for depth. Don't really understand I don't think there can be negativity around it, man. I understand why people might be underwhelmed with the other names we've been linked with, but we could do a lot worse. I believe that Trossard brings quality into the final third and will be unbelievable signing with Rice in the summer. We're eating good, bro. Listen, until Dons are holding this shirt saying I've always watched Arsenal and blah, 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 I don't know about Declan Rice. I don't even know about Trossard at this moment in time. Leandro, make sure you get on, you're getting in your car and coming to do your medical, innit? I never said he's not. Appreciate that, my guy, man. Appreciate that. Top man DG put respect on his name. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Amari Hutchins is my guy. DG, who do you think is a good replacement for Uncle P? I would love someone just as clean on the ball. I don't know if he's clean on the ball. I would love Declan Rice. I would love Manu Kone of Gladbach, really. He's a bit different, but yeah, man. I'm definitely not a goal. I'm just trying to be better than I was yesterday, man. I don't know about haters. Don't mean nothing to me, man. Like, haters are just fans. If you're watching what I'm doing, if you're sitting there, if you're typing paragraphs, then love is hate and hate's love. Either way, on my deathbed, when I'm thinking about a legacy I've tried to achieve with my kids, I'm definitely not going to think about a man called Damien Kelly. I appreciate the support. For anyone that's going to sit there and type that, there's some sort of love there, man. But I appreciate that, man. The hate makes me unstoppable, really, and the love makes me untouchable, man. It is what it is. He's allowed his opinion, you know. Your baby mom's allowed an opinion. I bet she's sitting there saying, don't say that. He's a nice lad. It's cool, man. It's cool. It's cool. If he talks like that to strangers, how's he talk to you, lady, man? I mean, YouTube finances are not all they're cranked up to be, but I could show you a nice time. I only need one night as well, ma. Building relationships with everyone could be smart. I want Caicedo. He's a monster and his motor is impeccable. Crazy. Ray Parler, the Romford Pele. Amen, man. What a player. Hopefully he can teach Martinelli and Smith Rowe some things as well. Realistically, there's a lot they could learn. DG, you doing a watch along for City Spurs? Yes, I am. Live from 7:50, 10 minutes until kickoff. That will be across Twitch and YouTube, folks. So make sure you're there for that one. Appreciative in advance. Brighton has been the new Bolton for Arsenal since their promotion. Trossard has been a major part of that torment. Thankfully, we smacked them up this season. I'm thinking this could turn out to be a very good signing. I mean, it's a shrewd signing. Like, obviously, we want sexy signings and all these things, but he just has to be the right player, which I think he has. I think he complements us a lot, man. Man said he's not going to create problems for defenders. Bit harsh. You're just going to have to prove you're on. Eddie is not Arsenal level. He may be, he might not be. Fundamentally, he's playing for Arsenal right now and doing quite well. We support and praise and critique where appropriate. Shout out Cape Town, South Africa. I didn't diss Eddie and Ketty, my guy. Oh, you're relating to that. Rice works better in a double pivot. Well, you'd have that at Arsenal, wouldn't you? Big up DG. On the last day of the transfer window, Arsenal was scrambling over Douglas Luiz. Arsenal still need a centre mid and striker. We currently only have Eddie. I think this left wing is a distraction in my honest opinion. Trossard's going to surprise a lot of our fans, I think, especially under Arteta. I'm Belgian, so I've seen him. I think it's a good. We could do a lot worse. Could do a lot worse. I think a lot of fans, if this Mudryk stuff weren't here, they would be talking a lot different. I think we're waiting for the summer to drop the bag on a winger, which is smart. Champions League football and potentially a title and become more attractive. Title? Arsenal in the title race. I don't check the league table, man. What about Moussa Diaby? It seems a myth, my guy. Yeah, I saw Ericsson catch up to Zaha. I was like, raw. The Wan-Bissaka tackle, great. And the Elise free kick, what a goal. De Gea even made some good saves. But I was thinking, raw, Ericsson caught up with Zaha. I was thinking, wow, what's going on there? One love for the super chat, my guy. Slow and steady, DG. Big up yourself. Admire the consistency and dedication. People with no vision or work ethic are too loud these days. As my nan used to say, empty barrels make the most noise, man. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate your support, let alone the dollars, my guy. It means a lot. Low risk, high reward, in my opinion. There you have it. Does anyone know what's going on with Pepe? I think he's Nice's top goal scorer, one of those. But apart from that, his days are probably numbered, really. You know, that loan was probably just designed to convince Nice to take him permanently or put him in the shop window to alert clubs to just, in my opinion, Pepe is going to go for next to nothing next summer, innit? We just want to get him off the books, man. DG, in the summer, we should sign Ruben Neves of Wolves. I wouldn't mind it, man. Am I bugging or I just don't see the hype with Diaby? Good player, but I don't see enough to, you asked me about Karim Adeyemi, Zaire Emre, Tell at Bayern Munich, Jude Bellingham, Musiala at the time. They're guys I get hyped about. I wouldn't say I get hyped about Diaby, quality player, but past that, I know, man. Bro, I listen to mainly because I know what football has forgotten about performance and not price tags. Not sure what you're trying to say there, man. A lot of fans didn't think Jesus was a good signing as well, DJ. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think that's true. But anyone that was there bugging out, man. DG, who is your favorite Arsenal player of all time? Rocky Rollcastle for me. Shout out Rocky, RIP him as well. There's a few in it. Thierry Henry, it's got to be Thierry, Ian, Vieira, Cole. I know people look at me like Ashley Cole. Ashley Cole was everything to me until he did the pagan thing. Roberto Perez. Cesc has a special place in my heart. Tony Adams. Big fan of Ray Parler. Saka's up there for me already, not with them because he ain't done what they done, but I'd say Saka's already in that sort of realm regardless of what happens. There's a few still. Yeah, man, I'd say Thierry Henry / Vieira because they were everything to me. Dennis as well, can't forget him. I'm happier with Trossard than I was for Mudryk. I'm just happy we got someone, man. DG, you watching now? And I say PSG at 5 p.m. Big up Messi and Ronaldo, but it's a no from me, though. I didn't even watch that. Do you think the focus on the left wing is to free Martinelli to be a central option? Not necessarily, but if Martinelli can learn how to play up there, then we've got another dimension in it. Trossard is very good in and close to the box, very useful for matches where we struggle to break down the opponent's low block. And I'm sure Arteta sees it this way. There you have it. Any thoughts on Jonathan David or Nico Williams? I'd more want to take a chance on Williams. I like David, but he's not really that wavy, man. Go get Zaha and Telemans and we'll win the league and have a great squad for 2 to 3 years. Zaha can stay over there, man. Fans unhappy with Trossard just because he isn't fashionable, no tats and low profile on social. The guy looks a substitute teacher but can hold the ball a bit harsh. He does look like a substitute teacher now that you said that. But yeah, man. Big up DG, Kenya boy, appreciate you. Do you rate Elise and can he be back up for Saka? I like Elise a lot. The problem is with Elise, I'm not saying you have to score free kicks every week, but that ability, he does play within himself a lot, really. And he didn't have the best of 90 minutes. Let's be real in that game against United. He was one of the better players, but there's a lot, even his defensive work rate, he'd have to improve because, yeah, you got your team, you scored a terrific goal, and he's not alone, but several Crystal Palace players, including himself, switched off for United's goal. You know, Bruno Fernandes, not a single person has followed him into that box. So and I expect that, but he's a terrific player with a terrific future, really and truly, people. And I expect that. And one thing's for sure, they're gonna make healthy money on that initial 8 million release clause he had at Reading. I wish we picked him up there. I think I done a video on him. Not that I know everybody, but he's a player for bloody hell. You're a decent player, unique character, man. Absolutely unique character, man. It is what it is in that regards. Let me see if there's any other comments. What other affordable alternatives are right now? Bring on experience, just behave for Mikel. There you have it. Just behave yourself. Everything's going to be all right, man. Everything will be all right, man. Brighton got the next Trossard lined up. Probably, man, as you would be a forward-thinking club like them. Telemans or Kessie, I'll probably pass on both of them. If I'm honest, I prefer Telemans still. Trossard can play across the front three. There's your short-term fix. Tell him again. It was an absolute goal, man. I mean, inside, Elise was he's feeling elite in it, but like come on, man. He's a relaxed character, but he was clearly just acting like he's no emotions, man. You clearly felt that was wavy. I'd be happy with Kessier. I've really gone off the Kessier boil. Blessings, DG. Keep up your good work and don't mind haters trying to pose as advisors. The sky be stepping stone for us all. More levels to come, God willing. I appreciate it. I don't pay them no mind. Water of a duck's back, man. Opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one. Like, so it is. You're allowed to have your opinion. But that's been one twat. We've got 286 likes, people. We're flirting with 300. Can we get there? Keep your opinions forthcoming. Should I spin the block for any updates on this toss-up business? Didn't think I'd be live with you lot today. I knew I'd do a video, but didn't think I'd be live. But this is why we love the transfer market. And that's why you probably saw one of my videos. Not that I'm saying Edu has or hasn't done good in the market, but give the club the luxury of at least waiting until the end of the market. Had we not have signed someone, assuming we don't sign someone, because as we've seen with Mudryk, we can't assume that this is done. And I don't quite think we're going to get hijacked for Trossard and things, but holding shirts, signing, talking about how you watched Arsenal your whole life and Wenger this and that. Until they do that, it's a that thing. But you want to see signings in it, really. And if it helps us, who cares? If Trossard, again, so I don't check the league table, but allegedly we're in a title race. If Trossard scores the goal that brings us our first title in the Emirates, or scores in these big games, or helps us in the Europa League, in the Prem and FA Cup and whatnot, you're not going to care. We've made riskier moves than this, I can't lie. We've done a lot more stupider things. I don't see this signing as more risky than when we signed Willian, than when we signed Cedric, than when we signed Pablo Marie. Of course, their names are not quite there. But in terms of the level of consistency to the wages and things, it proved costly. To give in Aubameyang a new deal, to bring in Nicolas Pepe, because I took a lot of slate for Pepe and Lacazette, two players that I really like. But I told you, things would happen. I told you, Lacazette would never score 20 league goals for us, and we can't just rely on him alone. And I told you, we're taking a risk with Pepe. He's really just had an exciting 18 months, people. And again, where you look at Trossard, people, again, if we've been following, obviously Edu and Arteta probably weren't there when we've been looking at Trossard from his days in Belgium. But if we have, then I'm pretty sure there must be a USB stick with old scouting reports on Trossard. And obviously a blind man can see what he's done in the Prem for Brighton. But for what it's worth, people, Big up AFC stuff. Leandro Trossard has been on the radar for Arsenal for at least 4 years, and the club have even had explanatory talks with him while the player was at Genk in 2019. Wasn't that when we signed Nicolas Pepe? Arsenal, though, at the time thought Trossard was too raw for the top level of the Premier League, and that's an element of scouting. That's why football's a weird game. Arsenal might not quite think he's ready. Brighton might think he has, and then it is what it is. It's not always finding a player and moving for them straight away. A lot of scouting is about waiting, about seeing certain things. It's not just about he's a good player, he can do a million kick-ups or beat a player, sign him. It's not how life works, people. But it tells you that there's an element of loving him in that regards. Shout out Lauren, another one of my favorite Arsenal players and an invincible. Happy 46th birthday. And big up you lot for your support so far. Arsenal haven't yet sent an offer for Leandro Trossard, but talks are ongoing at club level. Brighton hope for around 30 million euros, while Arsenal wants to reduce the fee a bit. So I hope we could sign him for Man United, but just based on that, and Brighton are difficult to do business with per se, that probably tells you that we might be moving in the right direction. We're not probably there yet unless there's mad developments in the next whatever many hours, man. So it is what it is in that regards, people. J1 love for the super chat. Uncle Ratty is my number one and always will be. But I used to watch him at Palace, and he's the reason I started following Arsenal along with Palace. So we shout out Ian Wright for that one, man. Shout out Uncle.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
Chelsea in for Trossard. Chelsea have a bid 50 million for Trossard. You're probably chatting shit, but if they have, cool, innit? Come on, man. Grow up, man. We're scrapping for whatever's left, got to be honest. But sometimes there's bargain buckets. Sometimes we've tried to cut corners with Marie, with Cedric, with Runners, and it ain't worked out. Sometimes we bought cheaply, done our due diligence where Tomiyasu's in regarded. I'd throw Zinchenko into that now, 25 odd million, and it's worked out. Hopefully Trossard can do the same as well. I think this is a clever deal for the club. The guy's quality. Steve, you're not alone, man. People forget Arteta wouldn't approve, unless he sees that the player will help the squad achieve and evolve. Everyone makes mistakes, but I agree with that. We need to move forward in a big way as a club, not settle for cheap deals. I mean, boy, we've seen big money signings not work out. We've seen cheap deals excel. We just need to buy the right players. And crucially, we won't know until he does the business or doesn't. Neves or Kessié, and I'm happy, don't see Wolves letting him go. Of course, the Spurs fan that attacked Ramsdale's a coward, man. And you've probably lost your job, going to get a criminal record. Hopefully you get snuffed in by some Arsenal fans or some Spurs fans for making you move mad. Late to the stream, but we'll catch up later. There's timestamps to match. Just glad we signed someone. Trossard is decent. Pray it works out well. The only thing I'd say is he's technically not been signed. One love for the super chat again, my guy. Big up yourself, DG. Always enjoy your words. Stay strong, kings and queens. Chris, appreciative. And I hope everyone else is doing well, man. Elise to Arsenal was at the ground yesterday. My boys have got a season ticket. I mean, he spent time at Arsenal and Chelsea as a schoolboy. Apparently, Brighton have a winger who's on loan who they're saying is as good as Trossard. I mean, if he's as good as Trossard, throw some, put some money, ask for less for Trossard than if you've got that in it. I love a good bargain bucket. I appreciate you for loving the content, man. I would love to get Ruben Neves, really. I think he'd be a cut price addition. I can't lie. Deng, I don't rate off Okafor like that. I'll hold my hands up if he does the bits and pieces, but I don't rate no Okafor like that. Decent player, but don't move the needle for me. Like, I need to see a bit more, really, if I'm honest. Also, what Brighton consider top quality and what Arsenal consider top quality are going to be different things, respectfully, levels between the two clubs. That as well. Omri, Bergkamp, Wright, Rocky, Perez, Thomas, Vieira, Adams, Dixon, shout out Dixon, Bold, Smith, Keon. Shout out Keon, man. I'll always love Keon, especially after, how he dealt with Ruud van Nistelrooy. I remember that game vividly. DG wouldn't have been best to take him on loan instead, but they're not going to entertain a loan. He's got an option of another year's contract's running down. It is what it is. I mean, in theory, yeah, because if it doesn't work out, God forbid, then you send him back packing. I hope we get Rice in the summer, but I also hope there's several replacements or alternatives would be the right word lined up, because when these players are held in high regards, it's a madness. West Ham got Danny Ings. Moyes is in panic mode. West Ham struggling to score goals, man. Danny Ings does that. So he provides that. 312 likes for the 600 of you locked in. I appreciate that. Keep it going. Keep your opinions going. Let's see if there's any other Arsenal news, because the most jarring thing is finishing a live stream, seeing an update, and having to go again. It's jarring. Proper jarring. No one cares. Respectfully, don't care what Rio Ferdinand or what Simon Jordan have to say about Trossard or anything in relation to Arsenal. We've spoken about ZANIOLO. PSG could make moves for Saliba and Martinelli. Let's see what these things are saying. That was in the last hour. Let's have another browse as well. We're doing what we need to do in pursuing Trossard. Good price, solid player for a few years. You can never win. Let's be honest. There's an element. There's an element of people getting things wrong in it. Like, I mean, of clubs not being able to what would be the word? Like, not being able to win. You know, you overpay on Mudryk. You don't get Mudryk a signing like Mudryk. Oh, you got no ambition. You failed in the market. You overpay. You've overpaid. You know, you don't sign anyone. Oh, how could you be so stupid not to sign anyone in the market? We're down to our bare bones, etc. You sign Trossard, people start getting a bit snooty and things like that. So it is what it is, man. So yeah, man, and I think this market has shown where, in relation to Trossard and Mudryk, is that nobody really knows, because with Mudryk, we'll never know how close or how far Arsenal truly was, or how much he really wanted Arsenal, etc. Literally 48 hours ago, we heard Trossard's been offered, nobody's on it. There's been a change of heart with Arsenal, whether that's because targets we've gone for previously, it's not attainable in January. Maybe we thought, you know what, Trossard, we like him a lot. He's our safe bet. We'll go and pursue Mudryk. We'll flirt between trying to bring Ferran Torres, Rafinha, all of these sort of guys, Neto, whoever, and then Trossard's a safe bet. We know he wants to leave for a few months. We know his agent's been offering him around. We now know that him and his manager at Brighton, things are happening. We know his contract situation and all of those sort of things, people. I mean, we could do a lot worse, man. 28 last month as well. People don't check themselves when they say things as well, man. Like, it's people see 28 years of age in football in terms, you are getting on a bit, but it's like, oh my god, get his walking stick. You know, he's got arthritis and that right now. It's all mad. Like, people need to calm down a little bit. I'll take Trossard if we splash the cash on the centre mid. If we get Milinkovic-Savic to replace Xhaka, then Xhaka can be Partey back up as a centre defensive mid. Oh, I think we got out of there. Arsenal need to be more proactive and bold in getting targets. They really want. Stop trying to lowball the selling clubs. I think everybody does that. Would rather we took Zaha. Correct me if I'm wrong. Trossard is much more useful to our title push than Mudryk would have been, although long term, obviously Mudryk is better. I don't know, in the sense of, yeah, you're right. Mudryk isn't as good as he'll be at 28. Trossard could get better, but it's kind of what you see, what you don't. I have to agree and disagree with that, because respectfully to Trossard, maybe, but had we have got Mudryk, we're not having this live stream at this moment in time. So I'm not too sure. Trossard will be a great signing. You can't play Saka, Martinelli every single game and just expect them to never get injured. Touch wood, it never happens, man. Let's go for whoever you're saying. I mean, Trossard will be on some decent wages, man. Trossard has 38 goals and assists, Prem proven nearly as much as Mudryk has appearances. About time we buy from the Prem. I mean, to be fair, we have been buying from the Prem. That is how Arsenal behave, but this, if Arsenal need a trophy, they must buy, or else they'll run down the aisle. If Leao doesn't sign a new contract, I think we might have a good chance to sign him in the summer. All other big teams stacked on the left-hand side. But, you know, certain teams have a million wingers and they'll still be even more greedy, really. Still need a centre mid and a striker. Sounds like Arsenal are scrambling around for someone now after their main target slipped away. That is the true definition of scatterbomb transfer tactics. Or you just have contingency plans. In an ideal world, you get Mudryk. You try go for Rafinha based on in the summer. I'm not saying anyone's better or not. And then you have to pull a rabbit out the hat. There, you know, January's a reactive market. He wants to leave his contract. There's a situation there. You know, maybe whatever wide targets you're assessing from now till the summer, if you are, you go out and get them in the summer, innit? So I wouldn't necessarily say that. I mean, there obviously probably is an element of desperation, but, you know, what's necessarily wrong with desperation? Because, again, the club wouldn't be able to please everyone. You don't sign anyone, man, are going to go mad. So, yeah, again, looking at some transfer news here, people. Allegedly, Arsenal transfer news, PSG could make moves for Martinelli and Saliba this month. Give us the bread and you can have what you want, people. PSG want to sign Arsenal players Martinelli and Saliba and could make a move to sign both players before the end of January transfer window, with PSG feeling they need new signings. PSG, I mean, well, yeah, Saliba, our first choice centre-back. Martinelli, first choice off the left-hand side. Yeah, with the Europa League, the Premier League, the FA Cup, and a lot of football to be played, makes a lot of sense. You know, you'd have to pay a lot of fees. Pardon me. Allegedly, PSG are now expecting to lose out in their battle to lure Skriniar to PSG. He's, apparently struggling. They're struggling to convince him of a move to France. Obviously, Saliba's got history in France, him being French for one. Martinelli's drawing admirers from all over. And obviously, both of them, there's contracts going on. We've taken out extensions in both their deals. I don't believe it. You know, you give us top bread, can have what you want, really. What's this? Expert issues worrying Gabriel Jesus claim after Arsenal update all of a sudden. Gabriel Jesus has suffered a setback in his recovery at Arsenal and will target March or April as an ideal time to make his comeback. That is the view of medical expert Bin Dinnery, who runs the Premier League's injury sites and has a background in injury and data analysis. I don't know. I mean, if you don't work for Arsenal, I'll take of it with a pinch of salt. Arteta did say he'd be back in a few months. He said, I mean, we want Jesus to be fit in it. There's no point rushing back if you're going to suffer a setback. But it is what it is. We're just going to have to get on with it, as much as it's a bitter pill to swallow. And, Nelson, Smith Rowe, Jesus, the quicker they're fit, in many ways, word to Arsene Wenger, they're just new signings like Trossard. With meniscus damage and the extent of his problem, there was always a big likelihood that Jesus' recovery gets pushed to 3 or 4 months. All of a sudden, Arsenal are looking in the region of March to April as the new timeline. It doesn't really come as a huge surprise, but Arsenal would have been hoping to trim a couple of weeks off it if things change. And obviously, for Arteta, who was talking about Smith Rowe playing as a false nine, he's got to love the option of playing Trossard up there, man. Like, there's so many combinations. Trossard can play off the left, play off the right, do the false nine thing if Eddie needs a rest. Martinelli and Trossard, one could play up front, one couldn't. Obviously, there's a lot to like about him. But there are no guarantees with injuries, and recovery timelines tend to be best case scenarios. Overall, February is now out of the question for Jesus, and Mikel Arteta will be desperate to get him back around March so he can play a part in what will be a pivotal period for the Gunners. Allegedly, Real Madrid are interested in 15 million Arsenal target. This is probably in relation to Fresnadar. We know he's got interest from Real Madrid, Newcastle, Manchester United, Liverpool, Juventus, Napoli, etc. 18 years of age. I mean, we've spoken about him enough, innit? Allegedly, Fabrizio Romano's tweeted something. Has he tweeted? What's he tweeted? Okay, so there's a slight update, people. Leandro Trossard has accepted all conditions offered by Arsenal on his contract. All other clubs interested have been informed of his decision. You better not pull a Mudryk, mate. Personal terms are 100% agreed. The clubs are expected to complete the agreement very, very soon, as revealed today. So there's probably going to be several updates where really, in theory, nothing is an update, not just by Fabrizio Romano, but by everybody. But let's just hope and pray, in it, really. So yeah, it is what it is in that regards, people. Personal terms agreed. So yeah, man. Hopefully there's significant progress, and by the time we next do a live stream, he's agreed. And the best case scenario is done by 12 p.m. tomorrow, so he can be on the bench for the United game. I mean, surely Trossard's a contingency plan in that regard. Then if we've gone and we've tried to get Diaby and they've said too much money, Rafinha 100 million euros, Pedro Neto, not like the summer, it hasn't even him and Yeremy Pino. There's been no links. Ferran Torres wants to stay at Barcelona. Then you're literally just going to X out all the targets. This guy too much expensive. Lost out to Chelsea for this one. Trossard, someone we've watched from Belgium, someone we know is Premier League proven, someone we've been offered once again. It is what it is, man. Big up DG, always objective content, appreciative. Gonyato would be lit. He scored a cracker yesterday, innit? Mudryk was a nice idea, but he became a shiny object. The thing we had to have concern that we went that deep down the rabbit hole for him before Chelsea rescued us from an unwise expenditure. Who knows, man? Hope we get at least one more player to have a better squad. I hope we get a centre mid. If you bring Trossard and you bring a next centre mid, because again, with Partey, El Nene, and Xhaka, big up all three of them, but they're the only three, excluding the Vieiras, the Zinchenko's, the Smith Rowes, the etc. I like Lukonga, but I can't fault Arteta for not betting on you, because we need to win games. It's as simple as that. And right now, you look brazy. We're not seeing Jesus till May. Forget about that guy. Smith Rowe ain't fit till late March, April. Like, man. New Trossard update just now. Decent signings, can't go wrong. In terms of options available in Jan, Trossard was one of the best. Prem proven, will fit our style of play. Good backup option. Realistically, we're not signing Moussa Diaby in January at 100%. Why are so many good players out there? Why are they not signing today, the 19th of Jan? No new entry. Please stop this hide and seek. All right. People seem to forget there's a reason the January transfer window is very difficult. No one wants to lose their best players midway through the season, which sees you pay a lot. I would pay 20 million Telemans before the contract expires, or Rabiot. Rabiot can stay at the yard, man. We were after Emerson, but we got Tomiyasu. Is that a bad thing? Tell him again. Or we was after Neto, we got Ramsdale. Or, you know, I'm not saying they're not as good. We got Benjamin White when we missed out on Conde. What about Kane? I mean, Kane would be welcome at Arsenal, but, you know, well, I've seen Sol Campbell do a thing, but myth. Trossard has 38 Premier League goals and assists. Nearly, I've already seen that comment, but nonetheless, pick you up. You can forget about the RB, really. And to be fair, when you look at one, I'm not saying Trossard is a worse or better option than Diaby or Rafinha, but when you just look at the skill set, forget who you would want and the shiny new toy element and all of that jazz. Rafinha, based on if you just seen him play for Brazil or Barcelona, cannot play really off that left-hand side. It's right side or nothing. The other name, Diaby, look at him statistically, he's a dramatically better player off the right than the left. Now, I'd back Arteta to be able to coach them to play on both sides, but Trossard might not be as glamorous. He can play on the left and play on the right and still affect the game to a suitable level, which, considering the experience and the money and everything considered, it makes more sense, really. Because then it's not just one of the other. Who really knows, man? I like how clubs are being somewhat vague on our injury timeline. Arteta is learning not to rush players back. I mean, we've seen that on a couple of occasions. Don't let Romano know our business, man. Really excited, honestly. Now get us a centre midfielder and it's an acceptable transfer window. How much would Rice cost in Jan? Just do it, lol, bro. If they're saying 80 million in the summer, you've got to rise up 100 right now, innit? Forest took Danilo. We took too long. To be fair, we did here. We moved away from that, innit? I'm still worried we have little to no links with actual good midfielders. We need to sign 3 or 4 players, in my opinion, in this window, even if some are loans. I mean, in an ideal world, you would sign a winger, a striker, a centre mid, and a centre back, but probably unrealistic. In a best case scenario, we might have got 3 signings. If Mudryk and Felix happened, we might have, and it happened early, might have got a centre mid. I think 2 minimum would do me. You have Trossard, that's great. I think you get me a centre mid, and we can palm everything off until the summer, innit, really. Would love to see Sammy develop. There's a player there, needs a mentality upgrade to get himself going. Exactly, and I would love it to happen for Lokonga because then our thinking kind of shifts in midfield in relation to him. So I hope if he does get some opportunities, he takes it. But as I've said, right now, if we're just chasing 3 points, it's Xhaka, Partey, El Nene after that. And then I'm looking at Odegaard, Zinchenko, Smith Rowe, Fabio Vieira to play in that. We'll change it around and do the little 8 thing before I give Lokonga a chance. I think you're a decent player, but we want 3 points first and foremost. As much as it's a family-orientated club and there's a mad togetherness, there's a harshness of 3 points. We have to put the best players out there. Arteta has to look after his own job. If Arteta wins games, you get praise. You get, you do dumb stuff, you get criticism. The first thing is the 3 points. And right now, Lokonga does not help us get 3 points. As you say, my guy, unless he's holding up the shirt and signed on the dotted line, then you can't say it's a done deal. There you have it. So we can talk about him. But again, if anything's taught us this window, nothing's done yet, innit? Arsenal, please cash in quickly for Trossard. We need this trophy at the moment. Lokonga is just jogging around. I just think Lokonga just looks like he needs a lot more self-belief, if I'm honest with you. He just looks like he needs to believe in himself a lot more. And I'd say for me, the biggest thing I like about Trossard is that you are on it at Anfield. That Arsenal have improved away from home. You're on it against Liverpool. One at Stamford Bridge, one at Brighton, one at Leeds. Let ourselves down at Old Trafford and St Mary's. But generally, we've been decent away from home. One at Shite Hart Lane. Boy, I want to win at Anfield. Like, that's the one. Like, if I could trade in, I ain't going to say trade in Spurs, but if I could trade in one of these great performances across this season, even like, would I rather beat Liverpool at home or away? I'd rather just win. But just Anfield, man, like, for me, that's really, you got to be able to go to these grounds. Anfield, we've been holding too much L's there, innit? Last couple of times we beat Liverpool, probably in the Cups. And Trossard's on it against Liverpool. So, let's do a thing, man. And you got to welcome Brighton to our place. So I hope he's got a chip on his shoulder with De Zerbi. And when we play Brighton, he bags a hat-trick himself. I might have to put him in the FPL team, people. Trossard might be the guy still. I can't lie. Are we live? Of course, we're live. Check Fabrizio again. Another update. Romano's going to milk this, innit? I've already seen that. Love for keeping me updated, though, man. Mitoma seems a bit like Mudryk. Mitoma seems to be the guy on everyone's lips now. I'm not saying he's not, but he seems to be undoubtedly the one now. And he's been 2 minutes at Brighton, excluding the loans. DG, who would you pick, Ethan or Sambi for 3 points? I mean, Sambi's more experienced in it, so, and I don't really think it's fair to expose Ethan to that, but in a nice way, I'd probably put Ethan in the further sort of midfield three and go with them, but probably Sambi, man. Come on, Ethan's a youth, man. But I do back him a lot. Call back Balogun. Nah, man, stay over there at Reims. Do what you're doing. Keep, come back in the summer. Show Arteta what you've learned, and then we make a decision whether you leave permanently, whether you're involved in what we're trying to do this season, or next season, or you go on loan again. And again, Trossard in a nice way is bad news for a lot of players because again, some players might be 10, some might be strikers, some might be wingers, but only 11 players can play. Only X amount can be on the bench. And depending on how we line up our front four, including the 10, or who's on the bench, that has a knock-on effect. And you look at Trossard, he can play as a false nine. I might sit there and say, I got Jesus, I got Eddie, Martinelli and Trossard could play there. Balogun, you might have to leave or go out on loan, or you might be able to mix it up. Even Kolasinac better than Sambi, crazy. Am I the only one who doesn't rate Sambi at all? Where's his talent? He can't pass or defend. Surely we can't just get rid. Sometimes we just have to nip guys in the bud. But yeah, man. Big up DG. Do you think the focus on the left-sided players to free Martinelli to be a central option? Maybe not so much this year, but maybe it's something that could happen. If you want to try Martinelli through the middle, Trossard can give you something off the left. I think Martinelli can do that long term, but with our pursuit of 3 points and just needing to get 3 points this season, I'd probably leave that one alone for now, really. If I'm completely honest with you. Prediction for the United match. Hopefully we win 2-1, man. I know a lot of people are getting excited that there's no Casemiro. They beat us without Casemiro. And at the end of the day, regardless of who is there and who isn't there, you still need to go out there and bag the 3 points, innit, people? And, 3 of our best results last season against Man United at home, ironically, Chelsea away and West Ham United, Chelsea away and Man United at home. We pulled that off without necessarily our our strongest 11 at the time. So injuries, suspensions, not having key players, bust-ups, these are all things that are part and parcel of the transfer of being a footballer or being a manager or whatever. So we're just going to have to get on with it really and truly. Like, it's essentially that really. As you can see, I'm dropping links, people, where, we've got a jam-packed day of content starting today. Obviously, we're watching Liverpool versus Chelsea. Liverpool-Chelsea's on Saturday. We're watching Man City Spurs later today. Sunday, we're watching Man United Arsenal. 7:50 for Man City Spurs. 12 o'clock on noon on Saturday for Liverpool Chelsea. I'll be live an hour, as I always do, an hour before kickoff for the Arsenal game. I think Arsenal Man United is at 4:30, so I'll be live from 3:30. So, yeah, it is what it is. Again, I kind of covered the initial Fabrizio Romano when he talked about Trossard as well. Trossard almost complete. Fabio tweet. Bloody hell, Fabrizio, allow me, man, because now I'm going to have to cut up the stream and get it uploaded. Fabrizio, allow me, man. I might have to turn his alerts on. Oh, that was 30 minutes ago. Do you know what? I've turned on notifications on Fabrizio Romano's Twitter. So, yeah, man. And I mean, Trossard rejected Spurs allegedly, so we have to run that, man. So that's got to be some brownie points, surely, for the guy, man. Apparently, Fabrizio has said Arsenal and Brighton are expected to reach an agreement soon. As reported today, personal terms have been agreed and other clubs have been informed of Trossard's decision. Come on, lie to us. Tell us Jude Bellingham is agreed to join us in the summer. Lie to us, man. Tell us a mad thing has been lined up. It seems like we're still haggling with Brighton over the price tag. They're demanding £26 million, 30 million quid. We're trying to pay 20. There will be some loggerheads there. Arsenal, for Arsenal, Brighton might focus on, you lot he's Premier League proven. You lot are ready to spend 100 on Mudryk if Chelsea didn't turf you. We might have to leverage the fact of, he's got an option of another deal, but the man don't want to be there. Him and the manager are having a bust up, I don't know if it's an automatic clause or it's one of them that the club have to have a deadline or the player has to agree to the 1 year extension, but the summer you're not going to get 20 odd million. We'll take him. While it looks a bit mad, 20 million basically for the last 6 months of his deal, excluding that 20 million on a 28-year-old, bro, it's calm, really and truly. He rejected Spurs. You gotta give man some brownie points for that one, man. Even if it's true or not, really, because again, this market, like always, it proves that you never know quite what is happening out here. So we'll have to see, man. If they bring in Fresnel, I'm thinking they consider Tomiyasu to be back up for Gabriel. Tomiyasu is the one defender who can play all the way across the back line. Hopefully we can keep him. We need to bring Telemans into midfield as well as Trossard. I think the Trossard deal will happen. So do I. But again, Tillman are holding shirts. G heading to the game on Sunday, might have to cop tickets outside. Boy, I wouldn't advocate that, because when you pull it into that Emirates machine and all the people around you is green and that one's going red or violet or something, it's crazy. It is a positive, man, but where Casemiro's not going to be there, other United players are going to have to step up. And I'm not being funny. I know it's a different context, but we have pulled off results without our key players. I've seen United rock up to the Emirates with some dosh teams, Paddy McNair and all them guys, and we've peppered them and they've ran away with it, really and truly. Clearly, they've come a long way from that under Ten Hag. But yeah, man, what I would say is, can we dominate the midfield battle? Can we isolate their attackers? And don't give Rashford space to run in behind. It'll be interesting if he goes with Zinchenko or if he brings Tomiyasu in. I don't know. I don't think we quite need to do the assignment job with Tomiyasu at left back like when we played Salah with Anthony. But Anthony's the man who made the difference in the last game. So we'll have to see. Big up yourself, Phil. And I agree. I think Trossard will be a good addition, man. I would love to get a centre mid as well. That's the only downer I would say on the market, because some of you have been following me for years. Every window I've said, I just want a centre mid, you know. I just want a centre mid. I don't want nothing else apart from a centre mid. And I've never quite got that. I mean, technically, I've seen Zinchenko and Lokonga arrive, and Partey, but you get the point. Even when Partey arrived, that we found ourselves fighting in-house about, do you get a 10 or do you get do you get an 8 or do you get a 6? I think we needed both, innit? This is starting to smell of Arsenal trying to bargain again, only for Spurs to come in again. Don't know where you got that, but shout out to you. Cedric seems to be going Fulham as well, which is a positive because you get his 65 grand a week wage is gone. So we'll have to see how these things develop, man, really and truly. But we've been here for close to 2 hours, people. I'm going to let you love and leave you lot with that regards, people. I can't lie. I need to have my late lunch. I'm quite hungry. Don't forget, in terms of content, any updates, you know, I'm going to cut up this live stream for the significant parts. But any updates, you know, I'll get out to you lot, people. Again, we're watching Tottenham Hotspur against Manchester City later today, live from 7:50 UK time. On Sunday, we're watching Man United Arsenal. On Saturday, we're watching Liverpool Chelsea. So yeah, people, appreciative of you lot's talking points, support, everything across Twitch and YouTube, people. Make sure you're subscribed, you turn on your notifications and all of that. I hope you're all having a great week and you and your loved ones are fit and healthy. Check out the rest of the videos. Is there anyone to raid on Twitch? Because actually, I need to be out of here as well, really. You know, this has kind of messed up my plans as well. Got to attend to some live admin between now and when we go live again, people. So it is what it is. Is there anyone to raid on Twitch? There is. You lot go and watch him play Football Manager. But yeah, man, I don't want to blow my nose, as you lot can probably hear. Sounding disgusting. But on that note, save people. I mean, Trossard's a good player, but I can't get a little fullback role with Cedric leaving.
Get this right back, Charlie.
There's always just that active red light defenders, I think, it's like there's always just that active red light defenders, I think, it's like there's always just that active red light defenders, I think, it's like